Jewish people, help them practice and celebrate. Bara, preschool, restaurant, basically everything that to his people, just like in any other Jewish community in the world. When the COVID-19 virus started to spread time, right, people were not allowed face mask. I asked people to show them how the Jewish community pioneered in doing acts of kindness, in caring for others in times that everybody was just looking out for themselves. This was enough. In the past 22 years, difficult, everything that they are able to do in the community in the world. We are opening channels of letter, and he will shower us with be soon in our days. Wife Dina and I came to Shanghai. My name is Shalom Greenberg. My wife naturally towards Shanghai, help them practice and celebrate their Judaism. When the COVID-19 virus started to spread all around China, the local Chinese media right away went and it was just looking out for themselves. This was enough. In the past 22 years, the Jewish community in Shanghai and in China in general grew tremendously. As we are approaching the new year, I would like to wish all of you. This was to show them how the Jewish community pioneered in doing acts of kindness, in caring for others in times that everybody was just looking out for themselves. This was themselves. This was looking out for themselves. This are being inspired to become
in our Shul. And I wish and connects us to be in such a difficult.
Are you connected already?
There are hundreds of people connected. Hi.
Good evening, everyone. The time has just gone 7:45, and a huge welcome to everyone who's busy watching this evening, and especially to our guests who are joining us from all over South Africa and around the world. So before we go live at 8:00, we have an informal chat and we talk to everyone, we test their sound, and we find out what's happening in people's lives. So let's start with Arnie Katz. Arnie Katz, you're joining us from the coast.
I'm there from the coast, and it's a huge coincidence because the photograph right next door to me is Lisa Shewitz. Now, Lisa and I do quite a bit of business together. We speak very often. I had no idea what she looks like. I've never seen a photograph of her, and I've never met her personally. So
she's gorgeous. But you guys are what, 2 hours drive away from each other? You should meet halfway.
Listen, my wife came from East London. That was enough.
And look, Lisa doesn't come from East London. She's an East Londoner by choice rather than by birth.
By coercion.
Never coercion. Lisa, how's it? Welcome.
Thanks, Howie. So nice to be here and so nice to see you.
What is the weather like in that side of the Eastern Cape?
It's been freezing cold. I think snow on the mountains here. We had a bit of sunshine today. I'm not sure about Port Elizabeth, but normally what happens in Port Elizabeth gets to us the next day. So, Arnie, what's my day like going to be tomorrow?
You're not going to the beach tomorrow, I promise you. I can tell you the wind is howling here tonight. And we've really had the last 2-3 weeks been terrible weather. So there's no opportunity for you to go to the beach. Rather go and do some work, or I'll give you some work to do tomorrow. I'll phone you and I'll give you some work, pass some work your way.
I think Lisa has to cook Yontif dinner. She's got enough work on her plate because Larry is not so good in the kitchen.
Okay.
Monsieur Lamy, you're joining us from Paris.
Yeah.
Hello, Howie. Yes,
Hello,
I'm joining you from
Laurent.
Paris.
How are you this evening?
Very well.
You're still in a t-shirt. Does that mean the weather in Paris is good at the moment?
We actually have a heat wave now, so it's pretty hot.
And you know a few people on this panel. You know Lisa, do you not?
Of course.
So for everyone watching, Laurent lived in South Africa for not enough years, but
Definitely not.
But he in fact did his equivalent of French military national service by working in Johannesburg for Roussel Laboratories many years ago.
Yeah, like 28 years ago.
Wow, oh, that's a long time, Laurent.
It is.
And let's say hello. Joining us from Mumbai is Steve Felder. Steve, welcome.
Thanks, Howie. How's everyone doing?
It looks like I've joined my closest friends together from all over the globe.
Yes.
I presume, even though the image that you have behind you is of Agra, that you're actually in Mumbai tonight.
I'm actually in Mumbai. I was in Europe on the weekend, but I'm in Mumbai now.
And your wife tells me that you will not be in Copenhagen to join her and the kids for Yontif.
No, unfortunately not. It's a year which is, extremely disruptive in many ways. So they're going to spend Yontif in Copenhagen, and I'll be here, and I'll go back for a couple of weeks in October, and hopefully they'll all come back in January to Bombay.
Did she pack you some chopped herring and gefilte fish to take back with you to Mumbai?
No, and I didn't even smuggle in any beef this time either. So I'm suffering.
Laurent, I presume there will be no vuz food at your Yontif dinner this year.
No, it will be Moroccan all the way.
And so what are you cooking for Yontif this year?
Lamb of shoulder with quince.
Oh wow, my goodness.
Okay.
Okay.
Lamb, yeah.
I think I may still have a can of quince you left me when you left South Africa 28 years ago.
You don't like quince.
And Dovid Tobias, you are joining us from Switzerland, I believe.
Yes, Howard, thanks for having me. Yep, all the way from Switzerland.
So from what I understand, first of all, if all your siblings joined us, we would not have enough space on Zoom. How many Tobias?
Yes, there are quite a bunch of us. I'm one of 14 siblings, thank God.
What number are you?
I am number 6 from the top. I had to think before you asked me that question, but it's 6 from the top and 8 from the bottom. So I'm actually one of the more senior ones.
Is there middle child syndrome that affects about 12 of you?
Sure, you could say that, yes.
Now, you became a father again yesterday.
Indeed, I became a father again for the 3rd time last night to a baby girl.
Mazal tov.
Yeah, so actually, Danny Kadar contacted me yesterday, and we thought it's possible this can go down, but we really didn't know. So it turns out I'm babysitting 2 children at home now. So if you see them in the screen, I apologize for that, but I'm trying my
don't
most
apologize.
best.
Bring them onto the screen. It's a
Okay, great.
It's a Yontif program. We'd love to see them. Hello, who are you?
There's the older one. He's Hoodie. He can't hear you now because I've got the headphones in, and I've got the younger one over there, Ellie. So I'm looking after these 2 chaps. So yeah, wish me luck.
Good luck. And where in Switzerland are you?
I'm in Zurich.
Oh, okay, fantastic. And Laurent, you were just in Switzerland, weren't you?
Not lately. I was in Austria.
Oh, you were in Austria. Okay, close enough.
Close enough.
Great. Benji Porter, big welcome to you tonight.
Hello, Howie.
How's it?
You might have some of your friends, but I've got probably some people have known me my whole life. Arnie Katz, I went to Arnie Katz's house before I can even remember, actually, in Port Elizabeth.
I've had a bone to pick with you for so many years, and now I've got to tell you in front of all these people. Okay? You were the best primary school cricketer on my front lawn of all the guys there. And I thought you were going to go to the top. But look what you.
No, sorry, Arnie.
No, he peaked too soon.
Exactly, a primary school cricketer on the Katz's front lawn. That was my peak.
But Arnie, you'll be happy to know when Benji introduces himself to people, he says, "I'm Benji Porter, and in primary school I used to play on Arnie's front lawn. That was the highlight of my life."
Well, the parents came from Port Elizabeth.
Exactly. Arnie's always been one of my heroes, Howie. So it's wonderful to be on the panel with him.
Fantastic. And Rabbi Fox, I presume you're joining us from Pretoria.
I am. I certainly am. Not as exotic as some of these other places that I can see in the background.
Don't underplay Pretoria, Rabbi Fox.
I have my roots in Pretoria. Yeah. You must. If you were to underplay Pretoria, my mother would beat me to a pulp tomorrow.
No, don't play it down.
Yeah, but who has a Taj Mahal behind them?
You know something.
You can have that.
You tell us what you want behind you. We'll organize a screen behind you.
Just send your email address.
and I see Ross Kriel, you joining us from the UAE. Let's try turn on your camera. Let's hope you're there.
Yeah.
Ross, look how respectable you're looking. You never looked this respectable at law school.
I was just on a previous interview, so I dressed up for them. I'll just dine if you want me to.
Howie,
yes,
it's not true. I was with Ross in Dubai earlier this year. He was a wonderful host. I did the half Ironman there. And,
it's nice to see you, Benji.
It's nice to see you, Ross. He looked as dapper, and he was a wonderful host. He made me feel very at home, and I'm very grateful to you, Ross.
Oh, Benji, you were a beautiful guest. It was very, very nice having you here, and I hope you'll be back.
You see, Benji's expertise has gone on and on. Now, Nelson is having some problems with his camera. I'm just going to see if I make him a co-host of this meeting, if he has any ability to turn it on. If not, Nelson, log off and log back on. That often works. Like anything technology-wise, if you reboot, it generally seems to work. So Nelson and his wife, Diane, and myself were at the Olympics together in Rio. And we went wandering through the streets of Rio carrying the Olympic torch together. And it was an amazing, remarkable experience. Ivor, Joffe, I saw you appeared for a second. So let's turn your camera back on. And
hi, Howie. Hello, everybody.
Hello, fantastic. And in the interim, we're going to just suggest to Nelson that he just logs off and logs back in, and that should probably solve his camera problems.
Howie, is it possible I could just test the piano quickly?
Sure.
1, 2, everything okay?
Everything absolutely perfect.
Great.
It's nice to deal with a musical perfectionist.
Lisa, you next to play the piano.
Oh, well, Beth asked me if one of the reasons I was on was because I was a closet chazonist. So I thought maybe you would want me to sing, but at school they actually used to get me to mouth the words in the choir. They just needed me to make up the numbers, but I wasn't allowed to sing. So I'm not sure for my musical abilities or my vocals.
Fantastic. And Nelson, we can see you. So your camera is on. We're a little close, but we can definitely see you.
Yes. No, I changed. I changed. Now I'm with my iPad.
Fantastic. Well, Benonata to you in Rio. How are things in Rio this evening?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's
Always
fantastic.
wonderful
Very
to
nice
see you.
Day, very nice day. A day to go to the beach. It's very nice.
So Nelson, we need to move the camera a little away from you. We're getting your mouth,
Yes,
but
yes,
we're not getting the
the
full picture.
Okay.
That's absolutely perfect. So Benji, tell me, are you going to be going to Shul this Rosh Hashana?
Yes, yes. No, we don't go. My synagogue, the service will be online. Online. Yes, transmitted from the synagogue, only rabbis, chazanim, the choir, the musicians, and the staff. And this will broadcast through Zoom and through YouTube. And we are preparing some, for instance, the Aliyot Torah. We are inviting people to go to make Aliyat Torah, and we are requiring each one to record the brachot, send the brachot to the central of production, and the producer will include the person at the time of his Aliyah. Understand? Is a way to make the people participate. But in general, our synagogue is open.
Your synagogue is open. Do you have restrictions on the number of people that can go at any point in time?
Yes, there is restrictions. There are restrictions because our synagogue will not receive people. Only the officiants, the rabbi, the chazanim, and the service will be broadcasted through Zoom and through YouTube.
Okay. And Benji Porter, are you going to Shul this Rosh Hashana?
Huh?
Sure.
I'm asking Benji now.
Benji now. Okay.
Yeah, sure. I go to Sydenham, and so there are multiple different services. Normally, it's a hell of a big challenge. Normally, there are in excess of 1,000 people participating in multiple different services. And now we restricted to 50, which thank God for Yom Kippur will change. But so the short answer is I am, but it's a 2-hour service. We used to a very majestic service with a Chazan and a choir, and so that's why a night like tonight, where we celebrate Rosh Hashana and gets us in the mood, is so wonderful, Howie.
So we have some amazing chazonis tonight. We've got some beautiful musical interludes, and we're going to go live in exactly 2 minutes' time. And a big welcome to everyone. And we are, in fact, just having a quick informal chat. So, Chief Rabbi, welcome. Lovely to see you. Tell us where you will be this Yontif.
Okay, so I'm going to look. Normally on Yontif, I walk around to lots and lots of shuls. And this Yontif, I'm just going, nearby my house, and because both in the interests of safety, for the community and for myself as well, and also, this is not the year for long droshes. If I must say, as rabbis, we love to give long sermons. This is the year for short sermons, to be short and sweet. So. It's going to be what I'm looking forward to. Over all these years that I've been chief rabbi, I've been on the road walking and schlepping all over the country. In Johannesburg, I was often in Cape Town for Yom Kippur, and now this Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur, I get to be an ordinary person, for the first time in 17 years as chief rabbi. So it's like I'm so excited about that.
It's 17 years. I remember the days before you even had a beard, and you used to, in fact, hang a picture, was it of Rabbi Casper in your office before he too had a beard, just to prove to people you could be a beardless rabbi.
Yes, and I still have that. I still have that photograph in my office. My appointment was announced in December of 2003, so it's almost 17 years since then, and 16 years since I've actually been in the position. So, you know, it's a long time. It's amazing how, you know, how the years have flown by. But Rabbi, I do have Rabbi Casper on my wall. I have all the previous chief rabbis on the wall in my office. I actually haven't been in my office for a long time. I've been working from home, so I've forgotten about the pictures. But, and as you said, I got the one of him, you know, before he had a beard as chief rabbi, just to prove, because that's how I also started.
Well, good evening to everyone. The time has just gone 2 minutes past 8 o'clock, and a big welcome. This is our last Zoom broadcast before Rosh Hashana, and we wanted to bring you a sense of Rosh Hashana into your homes because there's so many of us who won't make it to a shul this year. And we thought it was important that you would hear the sounds and the music of Rosh Hashana. Nelson, I'm just going to mute you over there.
Okay.
We thought it was important that you heard the sounds and the voices of the congregations, of the community leaders, of the rabbis, of the chazanim, this Rosh Hashana, and that we should hop around the world and meet Jews right around the world and talk about what Rosh Hashana means in each of their countries. I think we have a remarkable, diverse community in South Africa. We are about 53,000 Jews in South Africa, and this Rosh Hashana, it's going to be difficult. And it's going to be different. And we have Jews who are on the left and Jews who are on the right, and we have Orthodox and Haredi and progressive and reform and conservative and secular and agnostic Jews. And we want to make sure that everyone feels at home as part of a broad South African community, because we are too small to have divisions within our community. And we hope tonight to not only join our community together, but also to join with World Jewry as we celebrate 5781, the new Jewish New Year, 5781. So with that, I'd like to welcome my co-host for this evening, Benji Porter. Big welcome, Benji.
How's it, Howie? Thank you so much for all your efforts over this time. I think that I remember with the Chief Rabbi, we did the Pesach webinar. And Rov, if we had said at that point that we would be doing a webinar at Rosh Hashana,
Wow.
I think we wouldn't have believed it. But I remember at Pesach, as we build up to Rosh Hashana, I remember at Pesach, we invited everyone watching to, if there's someone who's not well or someone who you need extra prayers for, please post their names in the chat. And this learning and this singing and this celebrating together with our global community of Jews will be in their honor. So if you can just do that, that would be wonderful. Just post the names of anyone who needs a good health, anyone who needs a brocha, just post their name and it will be a wonderful part of this webinar.
And please as well, if you want to wish people and our community a good year ahead, also please feel free to use the chat there. The chat is you to chat away while we have tonight's broadcast as well. So please, if there are any messages you'd like to bring to friends, to family, to people that you're not going to be close to this Rosh Hashana, please use the chat button as well. A big thank you to Danny Kedar, who has slaved away for probably the last 10 days in putting together this webinar. And it's fantastic that we have chazanim joining us from Australia, rabbis from Cambodia. We've got people in Central America, South America, people in New York, in Europe, in parts of Africa. And it's just so wonderful that we could do all of this together. So before we begin, Danny, thank you for everything that you do for us. And let us begin with one of our sponsors of tonight, and that is Mantis Security. Mantis have been a sponsor of literally tens of the webinars that we're doing. A huge thank you, not only for the security that you bring to our community, but for the help that you've given us in making sure that the Jewish Report is able to continue to bring these broadcasts to you free of charge. Danny, let's hear from Mantis.
Yeah.
Should we say hello, Danny? Well, as Danny just messages to me, move on. So I presume he's having some computer problems. So Chief Rabbi Dr. Warren Goldstein, you have an opportunity to address our entire community on many occasions, but we have hundreds and hundreds of people watching us tonight, and we'll love it if you could, in fact, say a few words of inspiration to us this evening.
Okay. Thank you so much, Howard. And I just want to congratulate you and the Jewish Report, Benji, all of the board members of the Jewish Report, for your vision in hosting these webinars for the community. I think that the webinars that you put together have really become a crucial line of communication, a crucial forum for bringing the community together in unity, and really helping the community to stay up to date and informed all the time. And I was really astonished to see that it's been more than 50 webinars over this time, which is a truly remarkable achievement. So well done, Howard, to you and your chairmanship of the Jewish Report, to the board, to Benji, to all of the board members, and to Peter and to everyone at the Jewish Report for really coming to the fore during this very difficult time for our community. Thank you for what you've done for all of us. And then, what I've found over the last 6 months, and this is really what I wanted to share with everybody tonight, is I've personally been so inspired by our precious South African Jewish community, that in times of challenge and difficulty, it is really a time to see what we're made of, and that as an individual, when times are tough, and we've all been through difficult times over these months. Some people have struggled with health, some people have struggled with finances, some people have struggled emotionally. Everyone has had their own different struggles, and that in times of difficulty, how we respond shows the kind of people that we are. And what I've seen has been the most amazing resilience and strength and inspiration from people. And I think we've all seen that, as individuals, but I think as a community, and that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, I think our community has just been spectacular. And I wanted to use this opportunity to pay tribute to our remarkable community. I've seen a community rally in unity. I've seen community leaders put aside all issues of politics and any other kinds of things, just for the sake of the good of the community and to make sure that the community can be looked after. I've seen the rabbis and rebbitzins of our community, remarkable, inspiring individuals who have held our community emotionally, spiritually. The fact that we haven't been in Shul for all of the months hasn't stopped our rabbis reaching out and connecting with our community in so many different ways. Zoom shurim, Zoom shiva houses, all kinds of things that would have been completely unimaginable. And yet, they were, as a team, as the rabbinate, everyone rallied together to make it possible. Seen the incredible health workers in our community, doctors, nurses, Hatzola, CSO medical. It's just been spectacular. Seen the Chevra Kadisha rally and protect our aged homes, and in Cape Town, seen the same devotion at times of incredible crisis in Cape Town, when there were moments, at Highlands House where disaster seemed to loom, and the community rallied and found a way to protect the residents. I've seen so much bravery, so much courage from our community under fire. Seen amazing, donors come forward to help support the community at this time. Being involved in the foundation and the establishment of the Geshe Fund, I found to be completely inspirational. Because I want to just pay tribute to the Geshe Fund. As I work together with a number of key philanthropists, to establish it, and the generosity that they showed, remarkable. The incredible generosity of the Gordon Foundation, and then the leadership of Martin Sachs and all of the remarkable volunteers. That for this Geshe Fund, it is made up of volunteers. There are more than 50 volunteers who spend hours in credit committee meetings in order to assess businesses that need the support, just the total dedication. It's something which is utterly remarkable. I've seen our, the dedicated dayanim of the Beth Din working through the crisis, giving the halachic guidance to the community. I've seen, the remarkable people running our kashrut department, going way beyond the call of duty to ensure that there would be this constant supply of kosher food to our community. Seen the mohalim make sure that we have, the bris, we have, all of the various mikvahs rally together to ensure that this could be done. So just for me, the last 6 months has been, so challenging and difficult, but it's been inspirational to see how people have rallied together. And perhaps, as we're on the eve of Rosh Hashana, what I want to really is to pay tribute to the Shul leadership of our country, because, it's when the president lifted the restrictions at the beginning of June to allow places of worship to go back, there was a huge debate at the time. And, we took medical counsel, established a medical advisory council with Professor Shub, Dr. Friedman, Professor Kramer, and, but they guided us that it wasn't the right time to open them, that the infections were surging. But the shuls held back with patience. Our rabbis, the shul leadership, the chairman, the gaboyim, they put the safety of the community first. And then when we were able to go back at the beginning, just a few weeks ago, I've seen the dedication of the shuls to the total safety of our community, which has been awe-inspiring. Professor Kramer has done on-site inspections, personal on-site inspections of more than 70 shuls in this country. And the shuls are sticking to the guidelines. Benji, I know he's one of the board members here of Jewish Report, but he is also the vice chairman of the UOS and played a crucial role in the Back to Shul support committee, together with Professor Kramer, where they provided the shuls, and the shuls set up for themselves the posters, the guidelines, all of the infrastructure needed for the bookings for shuls, for the screenings, for the temperature taking. I can tell you from what I have seen, the shuls are taking this so seriously. So I want to reassure the community as we head into Rosh Hashana that our shuls have gone beyond the letter of the law. I doubt whether there's a community in the world that has been as unified and as cohesive and as well prepared for our Rosh Hashana services as we are here in South Africa. And of course, every person takes personal responsibility for their own health when they choose to go to shul. And the doctors have said for people, over 60, over 65, or people with comorbidities, that they need to take every extra precaution and that they shouldn't go. But of course, each person must talk to their own medical advisors. But what I just wanted to say, and those are personal decisions. So, and everyone must make their own personal decision of what they feel is right for their own health and their well-being in consultation with their medical practitioners. But I want to give the community this assurance. The dedication of our shuls, the way I've seen it overall, and of course, there's always, I can't talk for every single shul because I'm, not visiting every single shul, but from what I have seen, and in the Zoom meetings, I've been in the rabbis with weekly meetings, 2-hour meetings every single week. For weeks on end, we've been doing this. And the dedication, the putting of safety before all else has been completely inspirational. So I want to salute our rabbis. I want to salute our gaboim, our shuls, as we prepare to return for Rosh Hashana, to say your dedication has been absolutely amazing. Your partnership, your support, the unity, the cohesiveness has just been completely astounding. And I feel honored to be part of such a community. I feel honored to have played a role in this, and I feel honored to work with such outstanding people as we have in our community, right across the length and breadth of our community, and on all levels, all the way up to the leadership and to every single congregant. So I think we can take great pride as a community and tremendous gratitude to Hashem that we are where we are at this particular point. And we pray to Hashem that he should bless our community, bless our country, and bless our world in this new year 5781 with health and with healing. and that it should be a good and a sweet year. And my wife always explains, she says, why does it say good and sweet? Because everything that Hashem does is good, but sometimes it's not so sweet. It's, we know what 5780 was as a year. This was Hashem's will, but it wasn't easy. So what we ask Hashem in 5781, not only should be a good year, but it should be sweet as well. So Shana Tova Umatuka, good year and a sweet year to everybody. And God bless you. Thank you all for your friendship, partnership, support, and love. Let's go forward together into a brand new year with blessing.
Rolf, and let's make sure that come Hanukkah, we're all outside and lighting candles together as a community rather than doing it digitally over Zoom.
Yes, absolutely. I'm there.
As someone told me this week, they got a message from their rabbi, and their message from the rabbi said, are you coming to Shul this Rosh Hashana? And their response was no, and it's got nothing to do with COVID. So to all the shuls we have faribbles with this year, let us forgive them, because we're not coming to you because of COVID, not because of faribbles this year. Chief Rabbi, thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for your words of inspiration. You truly are a great inspiration for all of us. Have a good Yontif to you, your family, the extended family, to Gina and everyone, and all your kids as well. Shana Tova to you.
Thank you, Howie, to you too. Shana Tova. God bless. Thank you, Benji. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
So Benji, I think before we go on, let's pay some of the rent and let's hear from Mantis. So Benji, are you a chazanis person?
I've grown up in Sydney and I enjoy nice music. But I can't say I love all the classical pieces, but I do love specifically the Rosh Hashana and the Yom Kippur davening. I find that very moving. So I'm really looking forward to some of the pieces here.
So, when I was a little kid, I grew up in the Berea Shul, which is now a Coptic church. But we had Chazan Mandel, one of the greatest Chazans of all time. And I would stand on the chair and I would sing very loudly and very flatly along with Chazan Mandel. But Chazanis is within my soul. And so for our first musical interlude for tonight, we're in fact crossing over to Australia. And Chazan Dov Farkas is in fact the Chazan at the Caulfield Hebrew congregation in Melbourne, and one of the most famous Chazans in all of Australia. He's asked us if he could pre-record tonight's recording because it's the middle of the night in Australia, but he did want to send us a message. So this is a message from Chazan Dov Farkas from Melbourne.
Shalom, South Africa, and greetings from Melbourne, Australia. My name is Dov Farkas, and it's my honour and privilege to speak to you today, share some thoughts, introduce myself, and at the end, share a song with you all in honour of the upcoming Yamim Noraim. I'm originally from Sydney. I grew up in Sydney, Australia, My father is the world-renowned Chazan Shimon Farkas of the largest shul, actually they say in the Southern Hemisphere, the Central Synagogue of Sydney. And growing up in Sydney, we had plenty of South African or former South African Jews in our community, in our shul, in my school. And the Yiddishkeit, the warmth that the South African Jews brought to Australia is remarkable. It completely changed the shape of Australian Jewry. And we've all benefited from that. But then eventually I met my darling wife, Miriam. I ended up in Melbourne, where I've been here for 20 odd years. And I'm the Chazan of the Caulfield Shul in Melbourne, which is one of the largest traditional modern Orthodox shuls in Melbourne. We love Chazanut, we love singing. And now for the Yamim Noraim, like you guys in South Africa, unfortunately, we're feeling the pain this year that we're home alone, there's no shul, our shuls are all closed. And the community here is feeling a real deep sense of emptiness, and they're worried what's Yom Tov going to be like, and it won't be the same. Yom Tov for us, like you guys, it's busy, people coming around, entertaining in our homes, shul is packed, choir, songs.
Okay, I think what Danny is going to do, he's going to go and reboot his computer completely, and hopefully we can unshare his screen while he does that, because he's clearly having some issues this evening. So we want to cross over to Rabbi Fox in Pretoria. Rabbi Fox, I was telling you a little earlier that my roots are in Pretoria. Tell us about the community there. Tell us what's happening, and tell us about Yom Tov in Pretoria this year.
So thank you for the opportunity. I was listening to Dov Farkas, and the one thing he omitted to mention in the centrality of South African impact in Australia is the fact that the rabbi of his shul, Rabbi Genendi himself, is a South African. So certainly the reach is very strong and goes far and wide. Pretoria is a smallish community, but a very vibrant and dynamic one. We have a retirement home, obviously our own Chevra Kedisha. Demographically, we struggle with numbers. We have a yeshiva, which obviously has been a little bit hard-pressed to continue under lockdown, certainly under COVID. We're hoping to open. Thankfully, we've actually got a very good intake for the coming year. But obviously, a lot of it is dependent on what happens. We started obviously the lockdown like everybody else, and I would just like to digress for a moment and to reiterate what the chief rabbi said in terms of the unity of the community and how the community all pulled together. It was phenomenal. I mean, in Pretoria, as soon as we realized the impact that this was going to have in terms of the lockdown, immediately we had access just locally within our relatively small community to a substantial amount of money is just for gamach, for free loan, interest-free loans to people in the community whose businesses would immediately be impacted, whose businesses were naturally a good business, but because of this, it was going to be impacted. Similarly, we had a benefactor who's been phenomenal, and in actual fact, just revisited it again. And every week, 20 different families received meals made by Joffe, sponsored by this benefactor. And we did that up until the point that unfortunately COVID entered into Joffe, and that created, unfortunately, it hit us quite hard. It was very debilitating emotionally. You know, we're a small community, we're a family, we know all the people that are in Joffe. It's not just residents, it's literally family members. So we were hit quite hard, and during that period of time, obviously, we couldn't be providing meals. And then all of a sudden, now that we opened up and Joffe thankfully has it under control, the community, many in the community, who either need it or it would just be uplifting for them to have that kind of a sense of some care and concern, will be receiving meals. And I'd just like to put out, I know it's a very broad listenership, if you can call it that you have, is that I think the South African community, not just the Jewish community, has fared tremendously well. you know, the adherence to the regulations in an environment that's already under stress, that people really pulled together, the entire country pulled together. And the following of the regulations, I think we as a country have so much to be proud of in the way in which we tackled this, our government tackled this, the way in which we as a community entirely just really rallied behind this thing. And thankfully, we, we're seeing good things, and please God, it should continue. And please God, we shouldn't have the nefarious and infamous second wave. What are we planning for Rosh Hashana? Well, I think my biggest plan was to daven that Cyril would do what he did, but God only listened halfway, because he's only opening it up. Punkt Motzai Rosh Hashana. Midnight on Sunday night is when lockdown level 1 kicks in. Like, he couldn't choose Thursday night, Friday night. He had to choose Punkt there. And that would naturally have made life tremendously easier. Because now, thankfully, you know, we've got a lot of people who are anxious and nervous about coming to Shul, and then they shouldn't come to Shul, even though the environment is safe to the best of the ability that we can do, you know, given the circumstances of COVID. But we have a safe environment, but anybody that is anxious or has comorbidities and feels that it's not the right place to be, they should not be there. And but nonetheless, thankfully, we are looking now at, we'd already had this plan in place, and we were hoping not to have to implement it. But many of our services will be running 3 different services, and you know, you're really pulled from pillar to post to try and accommodate everyone. We've obviously got time limitations as to how long that those services can go for, and it presents a lot of challenges. But at the same time, they're wonderful challenges. Number one is because thankfully we are able to have services. Dr. Farkas was saying that in Melbourne they cannot have services. I have a son and daughter-in-law there, and there's no Rosh Hashana and Kippur as far as they're concerned, at least from a Shul perspective. And we have, and that's something certainly to be grateful for. And moreover, not only do we have the problem of how do we accommodate all the people that do want to come, notwithstanding the circumstances that we're facing. So that commitment of the community is absolutely fabulous. And if I had a rand, or perhaps $1 may be better, for each time that someone in the community called up and said, Rabbi, this is the first year in my life, and we're talking about 50, 60, 70-year-old people, it's the first year in my life where I will not be able to come. What should I do? Well, obviously, it's not for me to tell them they must come. And generally, my answer is, besides talking to their doctor, I'd rather you miss this year so we can be together next year. But that passionate connection to the community, to the shul, to the services is something remarkable. I think it brings to the fore, you know, we tend sometimes to think that it's just tradition. It's what the parents did, and therefore it was just naturally handed down because you do go to shul on the Yom Nodoim. And what this shows us is that it actually is much deeper than that. It goes to the essential core of the person, that they're not just reminding themselves of what they used to do with their parents and grandparents, that Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur is a very central fiber of their being. And it's tremendously inspirational to see that. So yes, we've got all these challenges and these difficulties. How are we going to juggle the minyanim? But we have minyanim to juggle. That itself is a blessing. And
so
therefore,
give us a bracha from Pretoria.
A bracha from Pretoria. Well, first of all, that you should all be marching to Pretoria, because that would help our demographic problem. But a bracha from Pretoria is that we should all have a sweet and a healthy year. We say in the prayer beforehand that the year, and I don't like to say the word, but that's what it is, and its curses come to an end. Let the year and all of its blessings come to the fore. We have shown tremendous unity. We have shown tremendous care and concern for each individual, because everything that we do, every time we don a mask, we do so to protect somebody else. May God look down on the care and concern that we as a community and we as a people and we as a country have shown for other human beings. And may He look down upon us with grace, with appreciation, and bless us with a good year, a healthy year, a sweet year, a year where all the blessings do not require interpretation. They are obvious, they're revealed, and they are a reward for the tremendous unity and care and concern that we have all displayed over these past few very trying and difficult months.
Rob, thank you so much for joining us. Shana Tova to all of you in Pretoria. Really much love.
Thank you. Shana Tova.
So Benji, have you been to India yet, where we are joining our next guest, Steve Felder?
I actually haven't been to India, but I'm a big supporter of Indian cricket. I love, you know, we've been to other parts of that world, as you know, you've guided me very strongly, and it's a unique part of the world. But I would love to go to Israel, to India, Israel as well, but it's definitely on the bucket list, Steve, if I can come visit you.
Well, I can certainly vouch that Howie's been to India.
Yeah,
if you want a decent kosher meal in Mumbai, you can either go to the Rabbi, the traditional Indian meal in the Shul. You can go to the Ashkenazi Chabad Rabbi, or you can go to the Felder's home. Those are your options. So, Steve, welcome from Mumbai. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Namaskar. Thank you, Howie.
So tell us, how are things looking in India COVID-wise? We see India's just passed the 5 million mark in terms of COVID cases.
Yeah, I think it's very unfortunate. You know, India has been hit pretty hard by COVID, both, let's say, pathologically, but also, of course, economically. And we've passed the 5 million mark, unfortunately. At the current doubling rate, it looks like we'll overtake the US in the coming month. So it's quite a concerning situation. Lots of challenges here in terms of dense populations, similar to the types of situation we see in South Africa, but of course on a far greater scale. For example, Mumbai alone has 20 million people. So it's very difficult to distance. It's very difficult economically for people who have lost their jobs. The analysts estimate that there have been 130 million job losses during COVID. So I think we've still got to get through the curve.
And Steve, tell us a little about the Jewish community in India.
Well, the Jewish community here actually has been here for hundreds of years. There are actually 8 different sects of the community. And today the biggest sects are the Baghdadi Jews, which originally came from Iraq, and the B'nai Israel Jews, which came from the Konkan region slightly north of here. And of course, the community peaked around 35,000 in the 1940s, and many left to Israel after the establishment of the state, not because of any hardships in India, but more because of Zionist reasons and love of Israel. Today, there are about 5,000 Jews left, Indian Jews, and several hundred expats and diplomats. So it's fairly small. In Mumbai, for example, there are about 8 or 9 active synagogues. So for those that are, that like to have one synagogue that you go to and one that you'll never set foot in, it's quite easy for them. And then there are smaller communities in Pune, in Ahmedabad, Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad.
So in fact, many of the Jews in India come from Kochi. And anyone who's been into the synagogue in Kochi, which is hundreds of years old, with hand-painted tiles imported from the Netherlands on the floor and hundreds of brass chandeliers that hang from the roof, it is probably one of the most beautiful spiritual places I've ever been to.
It's a beautiful synagogue. It's located on Jew Street, which is the name of the street today. And actually, it's an interesting anecdote because the Kochian Jewish community basically upped and left to Israel. So there's a very, very tiny active community there today, but almost the entire community left.
Now, I'd like you to send a message because of COVID. In fact, your wife and your children are sitting in Copenhagen at the moment. You're not going to be with them for Rosh Hashana. I'd love you to send them a Rosh Hashana greeting now, because I know they're busy watching us this evening.
Steve, so before you send that greeting, you should look at the comments. It's really heartwarming.
Thank you very much.
From your family.
Thank you. I will look. Yeah, so for, yeah, indeed, it's unfortunately a crazy year, and my wife Devorah and my children Seth and Eden and Dale are in Copenhagen. I was with them this weekend, and I'll go back again in a few weeks and commute like that. But unfortunately, we can't be together for the holidays. So, but I miss you guys, and of course we'll talk several times a day, and of course during the holidays. And to the community in South Africa, even though we left South Africa many years ago, we still have a strong bond, and we wish you all Shana Tova.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for joining us this evening. Shana Tova. I can't wait for us to be together again, either in Mumbai or somewhere else in the world, and sharing another wonderful Shabbos together.
Likewise.
So, Benji, we're going to take a quick musical interlude, and in fact, the Great Park Choir are going to sing Hallelujah for us.
When are you on?
I'm just about on.
Are you after this?
I think so.
Is what you think appropriate?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You didn't.
Sorry, if I could ask you to please keep your microphones on mute. Sorry, 1 second. You can see we're having technical difficulties this evening.
Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Hallelujah, hallelujah, kelbe kocho. Hallelujah, bikia uzo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, vigvurotav. Hallelujah, care of good Lord. Hallelujah, 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 take a shofar. Hallelujah, 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 never v'chino. Hallelujah, hallelujah, tof u'machol. Hallelujah, b'minim ve'ugal. Hallelujah, hallelujah, ay, nay, nay, na, na, nay, ay, nay, na, na, nay, nay. Hallelujah, hallelujah, ay, ay, ya, na, 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 nay, ay, nay, na, na, nay, na. Hallelujah, ya, na, 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 nay, ya, na, 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 nay, na. Hallelujah, tziltzal shama. Hallelujah, 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 tziltzal
Benji, isn't that beautiful?
Mark is a remarkable talent, and so is that entire choir. Wonderful.
Amazing. So, Benji, you were recently in Dubai. In fact, you did what, an Ironman in Dubai? Is that correct?
I did an Ironman 70.3 and on the Jumeirah beachfront, and I had the great privilege of getting food from Ellie and having Ross's acquaintance for Shabbos, because it was on a Friday, the event. And so I spent Shabbat with Ross at their beautiful Shul. And I'm sure Ross is going to share some of the history with us.
I think Ross is probably the most sought after person in the Jewish world at the moment for interviews. Ross, tell us how your life has changed living in the United Arab Emirates over the last few weeks.
Well, in the last 2 weeks, I haven't slept, Howard. So that's how it's changed. No, it's beautiful. You know, the truth is that for so long, I've been telling people, including the Kriel in South Africa, what an extraordinary place this is. And it's previously was quite hard to convince people in a certain way. People were cynical, skeptical, perhaps even had prejudices. And what's changed is that at last, I think Jews around the world are convinced that the UAE is a magnificent place, that its leadership is extraordinary, and that there's an alternative narrative for the ways that Jews and Muslims come together. And to be believed after all these years is, I must say, very reaffirming and very exciting for me.
Ross, and so how long have you been in Dubai? Sorry, just before Benji asks the next question.
I started coming here in 2008, but I've been living here with Eddie and my two children, Izzy and Evie, since 2013.
Ross,
so we've seen it. We were here for the earlier years.
Ross, something that you told me when I was there, which had a huge impact on me, and maybe you can tell us a bit more about it, is how you believe the education system there is one that encourages this pluralist and a world of peace, much more so than what our perspective is on, let's call it so-called Arab nations, you know, what we think the education's like.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're right to emphasize education, Benji, because that's been the real, I think, winning streak here in the UAE, is that they are educating their children to be ambassadors and agents of peace and tolerance. And when they describe their idea of tolerance, they call it an Islamic view of tolerance. In other words, it's based on a very enlightened understanding of Islamic theology that's driven by somebody called Sheikh Abdullah bin Baya. And what they're trying to do, and if you listen to the words of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, what they're trying to do is reclaim the Quran from Islamic fundamentalists. And that's a project of extraordinary importance. And that's a project that includes the educational curriculum fundamentally, so that children are not brought up to hate, but brought up to understand and realize that there's a common humanity, that Jews, Christians, and Muslims are relatives, and that what is happening here in the UAE, in fact, is a family reunion. So all of that's very, very exciting. And to get back to your question, Howard, to be at the epicenter of that amazing, hopeful story is tremendously exciting. It's a huge zchut. And honestly, I could never have imagined it when I came here a few years ago.
So tell us a little about the community in Dubai. How big is it? Where do the people come from? What does the community actually look like? And has it come out of the woodwork in the last few weeks?
Well, everybody knows that Jews have a disproportionate impact wherever they are. But for our community, that's particularly the case. This community that seems to be at the center of the world's attention now, numbers in the hundreds. I think that the community will grow in size. We expect that 150 to 300,000 Israelis will visit us every year, that Jews from the diaspora as well will start to visit in large numbers. But we're still a very small community. And it's quite a heavy pressure, in fact, all of this attention for our community. Where are we from? Every part of the diaspora world. So I've met Jews from Sao Paulo, from Lebanon, from Morocco, Algiers, from every part of Europe and Australasia. And that's the beauty of our community, is the Avat Yisrael, the sense of the commonality of Jews from all over the world. We truly recognize each other. When I left South Africa, I thought I would not be able to recognize another Jew from 100 meters. But in fact, you actually can. There is some sort of universal essence, call it what you will, the pint of the yid, that deep soulfulness that every Jew has, regardless of the language you speak and regardless of where you've come from, that is recognizable. And the beauty of our Kehillah is seeing that in action.
Ross, maybe tell people what a regular Shabbos is like.
Well, the point, Benj, is that there is no such thing as a regular Shabbat. And the reason for that is every Shabbat is different. It's got a different mix of people. The Shabbat that you attended, Benji, was different because you were there. And every Shabbat is like that. There's always a new person, a new flavor, a new personality, a new Masorah. So it's very, very exciting, somewhat unpredictable. There's a great frisson to it. And I think what's possible here, but hopefully everywhere, is a very elemental version of Judaism, where your Judaism is alive, where you really have a sense that you're innovating and creating, and that there's a kind of a real vibrancy to it, which of course is what all of us want.
So Ross, final question. If people do travel to the UAE, is kosher food readily available now?
Definitely. So amazingly, Howard, to get kosher food to Dubai, you can do it by truck from Tel Aviv to Dubai in 21 hours. So you can imagine that the refrigerated trucks are already on the road. My wife, as Benji mentioned, has a wonderful business called Eddie's Kosher Kitchen, which is providing kosher food. So kosher food is not any longer, or soon will not any longer be something to worry about. And I do want to say that I was very privileged yesterday to be on the lawns of the White House, witnessing the wonderful signing of the Abrahamic Peace Accord by His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and of course Prime Minister Netanyahu. And what you should expect in days to come is a cascade of announcements that will include issues around kashrut and many other issues of enormous interest to Jews. So please come, there's going to be lots of kosher food for you.
I feel like I can't let you go without asking what it was like to be on those White House lawns when the accords were signed.
Yeah, it was incredible, quite dramatic. So that the doors of the White House opened and out came Melania and the wife of Prime Minister Netanyahu first, and then came President Trump, closely followed by the Foreign Minister of Bahrain and His Highness Sheikh Abdullah and Prime Minister Netanyahu. And there was an enormous sense of melodrama. The audience was 99% Jewish. I would say that half the people there were wearing kippot. And many people there are people that I've known for many years that have been deeply involved in lobbying for peace with Israel. So I just watched every one of them. I watched their reactions. I saw their emotions as a project that all of us care so deeply about and we're working so hard on was finally realized in front of our eyes. And it was very, very profoundly moving. And it's actually hard to capture the emotion of that moment, but I watched everybody. And this is something we've worked hard on. It's just the beginning, but it's something that we believe in quite profoundly. And I would say that in a year that has been, in a certain sense, the best of times and the worst of times, to quote Charles Dickens, I'm very, very happy that our little community could have been a source of good news. And pray, of course, in the year ahead, that it should be a year characterized by much more good news on every side, including the health front, but also on political matters as well. And I'd like to wish everybody and the beloved Jewish community of South Africa, Shana Tova, from the newest Jewish community in the diaspora world, the Jews of the UAE.
Ross, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Love to Ellie, and we look forward to seeing you in the UAE on our next trip through, flying via Dubai on the way to Israel, hopefully.
On the way to Tel Aviv. So thanks, Howard. Lovely to join you and Benji and everybody else. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova to you. So Benji, we're now moving back home and we're joined by Reeva Forman. Now, Reeva is one of the great doyens of our community. Reeva, welcome. You have been an icon of our community, an icon of the progressive community in South Africa, and you have been involved in so much to bring value to our entire Jewish community in South Africa. Lovely to have you this evening. And you, in fact, are going to talk about the Temple Israel Heritage Foundation and Center that's run still out of Temple Israel in Hillbrow.
Correct. First of all, Howard, thank you so much for those beautiful, kind words. You don't know what it means to me to be a member of the South African Jewish community and thus part of the wider Jewish community. It's so much. And thank you for inviting me as chair of Temple Israel Heritage Center in Hillbrow. Please note, folks, Hillbrow, the place where most people today are terrified to go. But Temple Israel Heritage Center is a non-profit organization, and it is a platform for both interfaith and non-partisan dialogue. It is rooted firmly on two very important parts of my life as a Jew and as a South African. First of all, you'll see immediately you come in, our founding mission is from our Torah, Tzedek, Tzedek, Tzedor, justice, justice you shall pursue. And then equally, it is founded on the miraculous way that South Africa changed from a hated, unjust apartheid government to a democratic government by a man who emphasized our leadership, our incredible freedom fighters' leadership that day. And that Nelson Mandela said, and this is equally part of the Temple Israel Heritage Center, he said, instead of hatred and vengeance, I chose reconciliation and nation building. And to me, that is also at the very heart of our Jewish belief, that if you save one life, you save the world. And so on this platform, Howard, we like to think that we can bring together as almost a bridge over all divisions. Divisions today that we see throughout the world, especially that this COVID-19 era, as we know, has highlighted the divisions in religions themselves and in between religions. And that's in every religion, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, everything. These divisions are there and they've been highlighted. And yet, I believe that in this COVID-19 era, again, because of your brilliant digital skills, Mr. Saxton and Benji, that God has hidden, Hashem has hidden an incredible opportunity, a gift to bring us all together in unity, to look what we all have in common, the great religions of the world. And you've just heard this last wonderful gentleman speak. It's an age of miracles, where religions can heal the rifts both within themselves and between each other. And so I'm very excited to be able to present this platform of Temple Israel Heritage Center tonight. It's really a great honor, Howard.
Reeva, tell us, is there still a Jewish community in the Hillbrow area?
Yes, there is. Of course, very small, very tending to be impoverished and disadvantaged. And you know how wonderful our Jewish community is, that anyone who doesn't want to stay in Hillbrow can be moved out with a Chevra Kadisha and going into one of their other places. But the Jews that are remaining in Hillbrow today, you won't believe it, it's their Medina. They're used to it. They don't want to move out. And so we also are a base for them. And it's really unbelievable. And it's very rewarding how the entire Jewish community has supported Temple Israel Heritage Center in our endeavor both to be a warm Jewish family for Jews who still live there, and at the same time, and most importantly, to be a platform based on our Torah, where it says very, very, very clearly from Proverbs that its ways are ways of pleasantness and all its paths of peace, to reach out to those disadvantaged, to the needy. Hillbrow is the most populated, dense mile, I don't know how many square meters, on the African continent. And we're reaching out to those people as well with projects. Just to mention one of how we see this platform being a bridge over all divides. Last year, we had Chief Justice Mocheng, who's recently been in the news, who came to Temple Israel Heritage Center and addressed us on the future of democracy in this country. And in the audience, we had everyone. We had Jews from all the major organizations. We had Christians from the different people. We had Muslims. We had the city of Joburg with us. And for me, it is so important that we have a platform to show how really inclusive, how beautiful our Jewish religion is, where we welcome the stranger in our midst, where we treat the citizens as an equal. And then just to conclude with one more project, is that more than a year ago, we started, as all the organizations here do, and I admire every one of them, that they have a Seder, for example, for politicians, a Freedom Seder. They have a Freedom Seder that we share with the Christian leadership. And Temple Israel Heritage Center had a Freedom Seder for refugees. And we invited refugees to that. And we have 3 examples of heartbreaking stories of refugees. And this has led us to now having a symposium, which we did on Zoom, looking at Exodus, a story of refugees today, and hearing their stories, and also then having someone like Professor Ruvi Riffin in the UK, who is the definitive voice on refugee rights, giving us a very clear picture of how the world could, if it wanted to, fairly easily address those rights. So Howard, I really thank Hashem for leading me to this synagogue. I don't know if you know that it was built in 1936.
So Reeva, thank you so much. Really a great pleasure. And of course, the shul was designed by who?
This is what I just want to conclude with. It was designed by the famous Herman Kallenbach. I'm sure you all know him.
Of Mahatma Gandhi fame.
And I just want to say that when it was founded in 1936 by Rabbi Moses Cyrus Weiler from Palestine at the tender age of 26, I just would like to perhaps conclude before I wish everyone a unbelievable Rosh Hashana.
You have 30 seconds to wish us all, Reeva, because I'm afraid we have to move on.
Right. This is written on the wall at Temple Israel Heritage Center in 1936. The mission of Temple Israel is to implement the ideals of our faith by supporting every possible and progressive endeavor to establish social justice in cooperation with all men of goodwill, and to promote within the Congregation of Israel projects of social justice, social service among the despised, the rejected, the regardless, irrespective of race, color, or creed. And on that note, Howard, may I wish everyone a wonderful Rosh Hashana, and may the new year bring all of us the unity, the peace, and the goodwill that Hashem wants us as a nation to exemplify.
Reeva, Shana Tova, thank you for the amazing work that you do in a difficult area of the city, and really remarkable that you do it. Thanks a million, Reeva. And Benji, we quickly popping along to Dovid Tobias, because Dovid became a father again for the third time yesterday. He's babysitting children. He's joining us from Zurich in Switzerland.
Oh, thank you, Howie. Yeah, indeed, I became a dad again for the third time last night, and I think it's really fitting for this time of year as well, you know, where we celebrate the creation of the world. So to be a part of that and to see the creation of human life and you're bringing that to the world is really special.
Ah, okay. Well, fantastic to have you join us, and tell us a little about your community in Switzerland.
So in Switzerland, we have approximately 15 to 20,000 Jews. I think about 2/3 of that live in Zurich. Zurich is it's built up on really 3 core communities, and then there's kind of sort of offshoots from those main communities. I would say it's quite a Hamish kind of community in general, and I'll give you an example. You know, usually my wife drops my boy downstairs to catch the bus to go to school. And, you know, I've always wondered, she leaves at about 9:15 and she comes back at about 9:20. And today, for the first time, I've had to take the kids down to the bus myself. And I realized there's another 4 kids there. They're there with all the mothers, and they all get together and they all have a good schmooze. So it's kind of that tight-knit community where everyone knows each other's kishkas, you know. But it's a small community, and it's, you know, there's 2 kosher stores, 2 kosher restaurants, but it is vibrant, so to speak, and it's very tight-knit.
And what is it like corona-wise in Switzerland at the moment, or is it no longer an issue?
Corona is very much an issue, and that's because since the original lockdown, where we went to, you know, the cases were into single digits of, you know, the new cases per day, now have steadily increased, slowly but steadily increased to approximately 500 cases a day now. So it's really becoming an issue again. However, I would say that Switzerland was a little bit different maybe to South Africa and other places in terms of the lockdown, in that when the lockdown was implemented, so although stores were all closed besides for the essential stores, we were still allowed out of our apartments, and we were still allowed to go on a Sunday outing to, you know, public area outdoor. So that's kind of been the difference, and I think that's played a big part in keeping our sanity. But it's very much an issue, and it looks like we're on our way to a second wave if we're not there already.
So what will Rosh Hashana look like in Zurich this year?
So it's interesting because there's been a bit of hesitation to go back to a lockdown or to implement much stricter measures. So how it is now, people are allowed to go to Shul if you register. So it's been a bit of a scramble to try and, you know, get a seat in the Shul which you would like. For example, myself, I've had to settle for a seat in a Yekish Shul. But for those who know, the Yekish Nusach on the holidays is very different to the regular Ashkenazic one. So that's going to be interesting for me. And I believe there's not that much sing-song in the Yekish Nusach. But some of the shuls have actually said as well that the congregation are going to have to wear masks throughout the davening. But, you know, there's different rumors going around. Some people think the masks are to stop the spread of the corona. There are others that think they are just there to stop the talking in shul. But, you know, that's also, it's going to be chaos for the lip readers and for the mamas, you know, because with the mask, your hands are tied. There's no more lip reading the cricket scores from the other side of the shul.
Well, Dovia, I think what you're going to be doing is changing nappies and washing bottles for most of this Rosh Hashanah.
100%, that's correct.
Benji, you've got an entire slew of children your side. Any advice that you want to give them?
Yeah, they get old quickly. Enjoy them when they're young.
Will do.
And mazel tov, and just celebrate every moment, and they should just have good health and Hashem's continued wonderful revealed blessings.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dovid. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really appreciate it, and our love to everyone in Switzerland. And with
Thank you for having me.
Benji, I think we've sorted out some of our technical issues, and we'd love to go back to Dov Farkas in Melbourne to hear his musical interlude.
I don't know what I'm going to say.
Huh?
Okay. I think you may have to share audio, Danny. Okay, Danny, I think you're having major issues tonight. Let us continue. If you could stop sharing your screen, please. Thank you. So let's go on to London. Let's hop across to London to Rabbi Dr. Michael Harris.
Hi, Howard. How are you?
Good, and yourself?
Good, thank you. It's great to see you.
Well, fantastic to see you. Let's put you in context. People in South Africa would know the name Rabbi Harris. Is there any relationship to you?
There is indeed. Yes. Yes, I'm very proud son.
Very proud son of Chief Rabbi Cyril Harris and Ann Harris, who hopefully is watching us from Cape Town this evening.
Yeah, I hope so.
So Mike, you're in fact at the Hampstead Shul. You've been rabbi there since 1995. That's an awfully long time.
Yeah.
Tell us what it looks like in London at the moment during Yom Tov.
Yeah, sure. So in London, it sounds broadly similar to the situation that was described in Zurich. Shuls are open, but we have limited capacity in order to maintain social distancing and safety. So in our shul, for example, in Hampstead, which, by the way, I can't resist saying because Reeva was talking about her shul being founded in the 1930s. Ours was built in 1892. We're still in that building. We have had a couple of major renovations since, but it was built in 1892. It seats more than 900 people. But because of social distancing, we have a capacity for Yom Tov of around 200. So we've had a booking system as Zurich have as well. And the numbers are pretty good. We're approaching the capacity that we have for this particular Yom Tov, but we have a great number of members who are older or who have health concerns, who are self-isolating. And so we've tried very hard to provide some provision, to provide Yom Tov materials and so on for those who aren't able to come to Shul. And I think it's a pretty similar pattern as far as I can ascertain across London, with Shuls open but with reduced capacity and far fewer people feeling comfortable to go or able to go to Shul on the Yamim Noraim than would in a normal year.
So, Rabbi, what will be your key message that you'll be delivering to congregants this year?
I'm still working on it. That's in my diary for tomorrow. But no. Well, something I'm thinking about saying at some point over Yom Tov is that the famous question, why does Rosh Hashana come before Yom Kippur? After all, we should be looking back and asking Hashem for forgiveness for what we've done wrong in the previous year before setting out and charting a course for the new year. But we have this counterintuitive calendrical arrangement whereby we have Rosh Hashana first, and then only then we do the retrospective. And I say perhaps the message in that is let's look forward this Rosh Hashana. Let's not look back to the last few difficult months and have our view of life determined by that, but try and look forward with hope and optimism, but of course taking the valuable message of unity and some that have been stressed by other speakers with us into the future, but try and look forward with hope and with optimism.
Fantastic. Well, Mike, thank you for joining us. Wonderful to see you again. Love to all your family in the UK and to all your congregants. I'm sure you've got a good number of South Africans in your congregation.
I have, yes. Yes, I have, and it's lovely to have them. And any more who come to London, very, very welcome to join us.
We look forward to it. Thank you, Mike. Great of you to join us.
Great to see you, Howard. Okay, Shana Tova to everyone.
Shana Tova. Benji, so in fact, Arnie Katz joins us from your side of the world.
You know, my parents, my dad was born in Port Elizabeth. My parents certainly lived there for a significant time. My siblings were all born there. And the Katzes, my aunt Janice, who's part of my heart, still lives there. So the PE community has had its a wonderful history, is much smaller than it is now, and Arnie will bring us up to speed with that. But Arnie's done amazing work there, and you know, it's always been a very Hamish and very caring community. So it's definitely part of my heart, Howie.
Good. So Arnie, how many Jews are there in Port Elizabeth?
So I talk of a history where going back 20, 30, 40 years, there were 1,500 families and 5,000 to 6,000 souls. Today, we have 350 souls in the city. So the numbers have decreased substantially, and it's not an easy situation to contend with, but we're still a very active community. We're active and flourishing, and there's a great spirit in the community which flourishes, no doubt, due to the efforts of a determined lay leadership, and which does its utmost to ensure that Jewish life and communal spirit is persevered and is preserved and enriched.
Benji, do you want to take the questioning of Arnie and putting him on the spot about what Yontef is going to look like in PE this year?
So Arnie, what do you have planned? I know what do you have planned for Yontef, Arnie?
Listen, so we have no services planned, except that I've enjoyed the last 6 months very much, and Shabbat to me has become the greatest and most exciting day of the week, and I've been davening on my own, and it's been fantastic. I don't know how I'll go back to Shul again, especially the brocha which comes after my service, with the finest gehakta and l'chaim medicine dished out between my wife and myself, with two at the brocha. But I'm expecting quite a few people come over to me. I'm preparing myself to be able to lead a service. I don't think I'll have 1 million here, but unfortunately, a lot of people are also away, but we have no services offered. And that's just, it's a great pity, but we've got to make the most of it, and we've got to make the best of it. And that's what I'll be doing.
So send us a blessing and wishes from Port Elizabeth, Arnie, from the windy city and the friendly city.
I just want to say as well that as far as the community goes, we have a fully functioning shul, and we also have a Jewish day school, the Theodor Herzl School, which is fully enrolled and functions according to strictly Judaic lines, and has done remarkably well over many years. And only last week was pronounced the #1 school in the Eastern Cape by the Education Department. So that's we're very proud of that type of thing. And if you want, I should give you a brocha. Well, I'm happy to do so. But on behalf of the Jewish community of Port Elizabeth, I wish you all and your loved ones Shana Tova, Tikatevu to Techatemu, a sweet new year of good health, happiness, contentment, and success, a year of renewal and a return to a new norm to pursue all the wonderful experiences we have of life, of family, of friends, of travel. And we should face the future with confidence rather than with despondency. And I wish you and your families a ketiva v'chatima tova, a wonderful new year. And may we enjoy Hashem's blessings for a year of healing, good health, and personal prosperity.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Arnie.
Arnie, send love to Merle and just good wishes to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Benji and his family always been very great friends of ours, and the friendship we valued for very many years. So good to see you.
I'll pass it on. Good to see you.
Thank you, Arnie. And now let's hop across along the coast to Cape Town to Ivor Joffe. Iv, how's it? Let's unmute you.
Hi, Howie. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Iv, how's it? Iv, everyone knows you. You're the Chazan of the Murray Road Shul. Give us a brocha first from Murray Road, and then tell us what you're going to be singing for us tonight.
Okay, I would like to say, on the back of Arnie Katz's bracha, which Arnie is a Cohen, and he comes to our shul often, as do you, Howie. So I can't compete with the bracha from a Cohen, but I can tell you as the Chazan of Murray Road Shul, that on behalf of our entire community, not only Murray Road, but our entire community of Cape Town, we wish you all in South Africa and around the world, whoever is tuned in this evening and who will watch after the event, would like to wish you Gmar Chatima Tova, Shana Tova Umetuka, and may we be reunited in song and in shul before the next Zoom.
Please, God.
Oh,
tell us what you're going to sing for us tonight.
Okay, I think what I'm going to sing tonight is a medley from the Machzor, which is basically, Howie, a synopsis of the way that it's going to go in shul, because I am going to be davening, but there's a time restriction. So this is going to be kind of just one thing into the next. And I hope that you will sing along. This is a bit of a sing-along and not much of a performance, because I want you all to join in. It's Tfilot from the Machzor, so you can open up your Machzor and just join in as we go. These are songs from the Musaf on Rosh Hashana. Rosh Hashana yikatevun uveyom tzom kippur yechatemun berosh Hashana yikatevun uveyom tzom kippur yechatemun berosh Hashana Yikatevun uveyom tzom kippur yechatemun berosh Hashana Yikatevun uveyom tzom kippur yechatemun Avinu Malkeinu Choneinu Vaneinu. Sing with me. Avinu Malkeinu Choneinu Vaneinu Ki ein banu maasim. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד, עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו, עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד, עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו. היום, 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 היום תאמצנו. היום, 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 היום תברכנו. היום, 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 היום תגדנו. היום, 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 היום תדרשנו לטובה. היום, 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 היום תכתבנו לחיים טובים. היום, היום, היום תשמע שבתנו. היום, 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 היום תקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו. היום, 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 היום תתנחנו. היום, היום, היום תתנחנו במצדקך. הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, רם 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 ונישא. רשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, רם 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 ונישא. מבין ומאזין, מביט ומקשיב לכל 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 תקיעתנו. מבין ומאזין, מביט ומקשיב לכל 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 תקיעתנו. הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, רם 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 ונישא. הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, רם 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 ונישא. ותקבל ברחמים ברחמים וברצון סדר סדר שופרותינו. תקבל ברחמים ברחמים וברצון סדר סדר שופרותינו. הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, רם 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 ונישא. רשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, רם 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 ונישא. בראש השנה יכתבון, וביום צום כיפור יכתבון. בראש השנה יכתבון, וביום צום כיפור יכתבון.
Ivor, can you explain to me why I've had to sit through like 5 hours of shul when I could have done the entire medley in 5 minutes?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's my favorite melodies from the Musaf service, and I just thought today that I'll tie it all together, and I hope that you have enjoyed it, and I wish you much success and continued success, everyone. Please, God, may we all be safe, and may this year usher in safety, success, and simcha, and good health for us all. Shana Tova.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Shana Tova. Thank you,
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much. And given, Benji, that we seem to have brought my friends and family from all over the world together, are we joined by Laurent Lamy at the moment in Paris? Let's unmute you, Laurent.
Yes, I'm still here.
Bonsoir, Monsieur Lamy.
Bonsoir.
You are joining us from Paris. You are bringing some wonderful Sephardi flavor to the evening as well. Tell us a little about your history, where you come from, and about your family.
Well, my family comes from Morocco. I was actually born in Morocco, but came to Paris 50 years ago. And we're now the Jewish community in Paris is very much Sephardi. About 70% in France actually is Sephardi. So we're the majority. Although now I still go to an Ashkenazi shul.
So tell us about your South African connection.
Well, as you well know, I was sent to South Africa in 1990 to do my military service. It was not military, I was just working for a French company abroad. And I stayed there for about 18 months and made the best friends there and fell in love with that community. I think the South African community is very unique. I think I have never seen such warmth in any other Jewish community. And after 28 years, I still feel a very, very strong bond because there was such a warm welcome there, and people made me feel I belonged there, and I still have that feeling thanks to all of you.
And tell us, your wife is from her family from North Africa as well. Tell us about your wife.
No, my wife's family is half from Poland and Russia, and the other half is from Tunisia and Italy. So there's a real mix.
And what does that mean food-wise for Rosh Hashanah? You do most of the cooking in your family.
I do most of the cooking because my wife can do a lot of things but not cook. So you know, I cook Moroccan food for the Chagim because that's, you know, I just want to keep on the tradition.
So tell us what is for dinner this Rosh Hashanah.
Well, we have always a lot of small Moroccan salads that are many people's favorite, and with like tomato and pepper that you well know, Howie, and others as well, and some specific ones for Rosh Hashanah. And the tradition for me is to have a lamb shoulder with quince as a main course.
And I want to tell everyone that after you explained to my mother how to make red peppers, where you barbecue the red peppers, then you put them in a plastic bag to sweat, and then you peel them. And my mother said to you, well, I'll stick them in the microphone. And Laurent's response was, well, in that case, I'm not going to give you my recipe.
That was a long time ago, yes, but we always argue with your mother.
Laurent, tell us that the Jews in South Africa are particularly concerned about the Jews of France because we see a lot of reports of anti-Semitism, particularly in Paris and in the south of France. What is the situation like for Jews in France today?
Well, it is concerning in many areas. And what we've seen, for instance, in Paris, is that a lot of the Jews that were living outside of Paris, like in the east part of Paris, a lot of them have left and have come to live in the western part of Paris, which is safer. So there has been a lot of movement, and there's been a lot of people going to Israel as well. So there is indeed some feeling of insecurity. Obviously, we've had some very traumatic experiences in the last 15 years. The first one that really was a big trauma for the community was the murder of a young man called Ilan Elimi. I don't know if you heard about him. In 2006, he was murdered because by some people thought that Jews had money, and he was kidnapped and tortured for I think 24 days and died. And that was a very big trauma. And since then, we've had obviously the attacks by Islamic in 2012, and then the killings of the supermarket as well, where four Jews died due to the kosher supermarket, as well as obviously the slaughter of the cartoonist and the journalist at Charlie Hebdo. So that's been pretty traumatic. And lately we've had 2 murders as well of older ladies. That was also extremely concerning. So yes, there is indeed anti-Semitism, and people don't feel very safe.
And in fact, you live not far from the Bataclan, and when the attacks on the Bataclan happened, the terrorist attacks on the Bataclan, that was close to your home.
About a few hundred meters, yes. So very close to my home, and the killings were not just at the Bataclan. There was also some bars and restaurants that were attacked that are all in the same neighborhood. So it's pretty much the center of Paris. So yes, that was very, very close.
So Laurent, finally, we would love you to give us a bracha from Paris, either in French or English or Hebrew, up to you. But give us a bracha to the Jews of South Africa who you know and love so well.
Well, I wish you to stay the people you are. That the nicest people I've met. Some of the nicest people I've met are in South Africa, and therefore I wish that you always stay the same, you stay strong, that you're healthy, and that you overcome all the difficulties that the country is now being confronted with, and that we can all meet again very soon, because not being able to travel and see the people you love is something that is also tough on a lot of people, I think.
Laurent, thank you so much for joining us. I was at Laurent's son's bar mitzvah 2 years ago, was it? In Paris. 3 years ago in Paris. I can't wait for Noam's bar mitzvah to come so I can come visit you again.
Please God. Yeah, thank you very much, Howie.
Shana Tova to you and the family.
To you and to the family as well.
Thank you. So, Benji, tell me, do you believe in miracles?
I do. Deeply.
I'm prepared to try one more time to see if there's a miracle that we can get Dov Farkas to sing for us. Do you think we should give it a shot?
Well, look, let's go for it, Howie. Let's go.
You have to have faith.
Yeah, exactly. Optimism is a key quality.
Danny, let's try. Third time lucky.
Okay, Howie.
No, I'm
Howie,
afraid
I'm about to burst into song, and that's if you have me singing, that will be the end.
We've given up on our miracles, Benji.
Yeah, it's either me singing or me. Okay, here we go.
Mashmiye tefilo, Hashmiyu tfiloseinu, Lifnei shoymei atefilo, Hashmiye se'ana, Hashmiyu tzakloseinu.
Yo ishtadlu veharbu tchina veharbu tchina uvakasha lifnei melech el ram benisa melech el ram benisa
O ishtadlu
Oh, Benji, they're on lockdown. They're not going into any shul anytime soon, but isn't that beautiful?
Absolutely beautiful.
So now, Benji, on your travels around the globe,
You see how happy Danny is. He was over the moon.
He got a video to work. It's a miracle.
Barcelona losing to Liverpool.
but Benji, you traveled the world going from race to race, Ironman, marathon, whatever. You've been to East London many times, I'm sure.
Many
It's
times.
the home of Ironman in South Africa.
Yeah, I've been there many times, and I've had a meal in Lisa's house, and it's wonderful. East London's wonderful. It's all part of that beautiful part of the world.
So, Lisa, welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Howie. I must say, I think East London's a little bit like Danny's technical skills. Lots of hiccups along the way, but eventually when we get it right, we come out flying. So a Jew makes a plan, and that's what we've managed to do in East London.
Tell us, how many Jews are in East London at the moment?
I'd say we're about 80 souls, and I'd say that's split about 40 within the Orthodox community and 40 within the Reform community. So we definitely are a dwindling community. And I think in its heyday, there must have been over 400 families in East London. But since I've been here, which is about 23 years now, there are probably half the amount of Orthodox Jews left. And the mean age, I would say, is post 65. So you're speaking to one of the younger members of the community tonight.
So Lise, tell us, because the communities had a very interesting history in that the Orthodox and the progressive communities have davened separately, but had communal facilities together. Is that still the case?
That was a really a wonderful collaboration, and we had the same campus for our Orthodox and our conservative shul, which allowed us, because of the small numbers on Chagim like Purim, where the kids could dress up and do things together. So we would have our services separately, but come together afterwards for a brocha or do things together. So unfortunately, we are on the same campus. And there is a lot of cohesion, but I think at one stage there was a chance of us getting closer together and more unified, and that came to a standstill.
So now, Lise, tell us, what does Rosh Hashana look like for you this year in East London?
It's not so great because of the age of our community. I think even without COVID, most of the 20 men that are here are probably post 70. So for them to get to Shul is difficult. Our Cohen, who passed away about 3 or 4 years ago, was over 100 years old, but he still used to come to Shul. In fact, he was the first one there and the last one to leave. So Rosh Hashana this year, I think, will be, for most of us, at home, with our families, and in isolation. But I must say that thanks to the Jewish Report and technology, I think East London's been blessed to, although we've been isolated, we've had a lot of infrastructure to learn off and to be a part of, which has been great.
Now, you've had a daughter at Yeshiva University in New York, but obviously COVID struck. Tell us about what's happened with her studies.
I was lucky enough to get Leah back home just before COVID, because Yeshiva University had one of the first cases in New York, so that they closed, and we got her home in time. And she's been studying. Online remotely. The communication from the university has been fantastic, and it's been a real brocha how this young girl that grew up in the middle of East London as one of the only Jews at her school has landed up in New York City at Yeshiva University. So that's a real brocha and a wonderful thing, and part of the Jewish community of South Africa through B'nai Akiva. We had Malka and Kuti Shalpid as our rabbi that that taught her when she was younger. And our wonderful family and friends in Joburg and Cape Town and all around that had fantastic influences on my kids' lives. And thank God they are where they are today. And they've got good roots, and hopefully they'll just grow and go far.
Fantastic, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining us. Love to Larry and the kids. Lovely to see you guys.
Shana Tova,
We look
Lisa.
forward to seeing you again too. And whoever's in East London, you're always welcome. We love visitors, and we'd love to see you all. And we wish you all a
they're
Shana
wonderful.
Tova and a wonderful year ahead, filled with positivity, with love, with kindness, with abundant brachas to you and your families, and a year where you see the good and not the bad, and that you are grateful and not regretful. So go forward, and thank you, Howie, and your team, and Benji, for all the great work that you do. Kol hakavod, shkach, and we look forward to your visit soon.
And when Benji comes again, just make sure that bed in the spare room is mine. It's not Benji's. Eh?
I told Benji that he did very well in the half Ironman, and if he ever doubts his ability, he must just use my trick that I do in East London whenever I compete in an event. I'm not first in my age category, but Benji, what did I tell you?
Yeah.
The first Yid in.
Exactly. The Maccabi Awards. It's not as competitive.
Yeah.
So thanks, Lise. Love to all. Shana Tova to you, hey?
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
So Benji, Lisa and I actually share a birthday. So there's a competition every year to see who calls whom first.
Oh, really? Very nice. You're both wonderful. I can see it's a special day.
A special day. Tell me, do you think we're tempting fate if we try another video? I was thinking maybe we could try the first advert, or do you think that's tempting fate too much?
Well, look, Danny feels like on a roll, so let's give him. Let's see. Hey, Danny, you feel on top of this, buddy?
I'm back,
okay.
everyone.
He's back. Okay, good.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All is back. We're not there yet, but the good times will return. So why not get whatever you need from Thirst's online store? The best thing about it, instead of schlepping to the shops, you'll receive delivery within 24 hours. Get your orders in fast, because who knows when the next ban is coming. Details in the chat. And the best thing yet, now that events are open up to 50 people, take advantage of Thirst 50% off bar hire for your wedding, birthday, bar mitzvah, or next celebrations. Details in the chat.
Thanks, Danny. It's nice to see that that's working. And so let's hop across. I'm going to hop across some of our pre-records from some of our rabbis around the world, because we have so many people live on air. And let's go just a little north of us. David Akinin, welcome from Windhoek. Great to see you.
Howie Saxton, what a pleasure to see your face and hear you. This has been great. And hi, Benji. Nice to meet you.
Where are you talking to us from?
I'm at my office, actually. I'm in Windhoek, Namibia. For those of you watching from around the world, Namibia is quite a big country with a very small population, just northwest of South Africa. And we're like the small brother, small sister.
Now, David, for many people listening who've never been to Namibia, they're going to think that's a very interesting accent for a Namibian.
So I'll beat you to the question.
Okay.
I am originally from Venezuela in South America. I'm one of 4 brothers. We were all born there and we grew up in the United States. My mother is a Moroccan Jew and my father is a Spanish Jew. So we carry our Sephardic tradition through North America and all the way down to Namibia. I'm actually in Namibia with 2 of my brothers. My brothers Sammy and Ari both live in Namibia, and we're entrepreneurs out here. We have a construction company building affordable housing and schools. Actually, we've partnered with a very large NGO, a Jewish NGO based in Namibia called the Pupkewitz Foundation, and with other NGOs around the world also to build schools. And we're very fortunate to be growing and trying different things to impact in the community and food distribution and mortgages. And it's been an exciting thing. I've been here 7 years, Howie. And I know you know that, because I must say this out there. Howard was actually the first person to believe in me and to help me out when I was struggling to set up and to help me find my way in the South African Jewish community. And not only that, but to raise my first couple of dollars when I was kicking off. So thank you so much, Howard. Look at where we are now 7 years later.
So tell us where you are. Tell us what the Akinin Empire looks like now that there are 3 of the 4 of you in that vast but sparsely populated country.
I came here first, and then my brother Sammy joined a couple of years ago, and my brother Ari joined this year. And I can tell you, I'm extremely fortunate for that. My youngest brother, before I tell you about what we're up to, my youngest brother Ari actually wrote a letter to my grandmother recently. And he was telling her that every Saturday we make dafina. Dafina in Spanish Morocco is like hamim. It's like the Saturday hot food that you make. And we picked it up from our grandmother. And, you know, for a lot of the people out there that are watching and wondering, how are we going to do this year without Shul? Our community is tiny. And, you know, for us, a Beit HaKnesset is a place of assembly. But when you end up in a small community like in Namibia, which we are about 30 people or 40 people, it's quite impossible to even get a minyan. So you end up coming back to your traditions. And that's what I challenge a lot of you to try. I've been trying it for years. Stick to your traditions, stick to your values, stay in touch with the people remotely. Just the ability to be able to cook. You know, we wake up Saturday morning with the smell of my grandmother's cooking throughout the entire house. And that can be as powerful as a good prayer in Shul. So find new ways to connect to your traditions, to your Judaism. Yeah, we're here, we're in Namibia. If anybody ever comes for tourism, this is an amazing country with deserts and animals, and it's quite a low population. And I don't know if I've answered your question, but it's just one of those things that I had stuck that I wanted to share as a message.
So, David, tell us about the Jews of Venezuela, because obviously Venezuela's gone through and is still going through an enormously tough time at the moment. What does the Jewish community look like in Venezuela now?
What an amazing opportunity to share that. Thank you for asking. You know, Venezuela was a place of flourishing riches and amazing cohesion between everyone who lived there. And it became a place where about 30,000 Jews lived at one point. Today, and I stand on their correction, the population probably diminished by 90%. The schools are in fear of shutting down because there's not enough students. My brothers and I were kidnapped when we were growing up in 2001. And this is the reason we moved to the States. But after that, mass amount of exodus followed. Today, most of the Jews of Venezuela have moved to Panama, to Israel, to Miami. You know, Miami is basically Jewzuela. But we struggle to keep our synagogues open. We struggle to keep our schools open. But most importantly, we continue with faith. I think I admire every one of the Venezuelan rabbis who have stayed in the country to continue leading the congregations. And the people who have been able, it used to be that if you didn't have enough money, you couldn't get on a flight to leave the country. And if you were too rich, you couldn't leave the country because you had too much at stake. And that concept disappeared. People with no money managed to get out. 5 million people left Venezuela in the past couple of years. And one of my prayers when I go to Shul, and when I'm not in Shul, because we seldom open in Namibia, one of my prayers when I wake up and I pray to God is that places like Venezuela can become better places for the Jews, better places, because there is so much to offer. So I've been extremely fortunate to spend a lot of time in South Africa, not just at Howie's house and with him, but also in Cape Town. I spend all my Decembers in Cape Town now. I don't go back to South America. And I can tell you that sometimes I hear South Africans worried about where South Africa is going. And I would like to challenge you not to think like that. I think South Africa is an amazing place. The Jewish community has so many amazing programs. I was part of Launchpad. With the work we do in Namibia has been featured in the Jewish Report. Like the way you guys communicate, the way you guys stick together is so inspiring that I would want my kids to grow up in a place like South Africa. And I hope that kind of inspiration and message goes back to a lot of you who have been wondering and thinking whether your country's in the right track. It's up to you to make it go in the right track and use the opportunity and the voice you have to make it work. And keep it together. It's a beautiful place with beautiful institutions.
Well, David, I've had many wonderful Shabbats in Windhoek when the Pupkevitzes were still there and you were able to create a minyan. I hope we come to visit you so we can create another minyan together in Windhoek and to meet the Akinin brothers who I haven't yet met. So leave us for one last moment. I see Arnold Garber has been posting to you in Spanish in the chat. Leave us with one last bracha in Spanish to the Jews of South Africa.
Bueno, a todos los judíos de Sudáfrica les quiero desear que tengan un año dulce, un año lleno de armonía, más que todo, y lo digo en hebreo, que tengan briut, que tengan mucha salud, que puedan consolidarse y seguir inspirándose y trabajando juntos para mantener la comunidad espectacular que tienen y que usen el año que entra como un año de reconstrucción de lo que ha caído para poder tener un año duradero y bello para todos. Muchas gracias por tenerme. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, muchas gracias. Shana Tova. And luckily we have Nelson from Rio. He'll be talking Portuguese to us in a little while as well. Shana Tova, David.
Shana Tova.
Rabbi Dovid Hazdan, welcome.
So good to be with you. Thank you so much, Howard. Thank you, Benji. Thank you for all that you've been doing for South Africa over the last months. You've been incredible.
Rabbi Hazdan, I just want you to, before Howard carries on, I know a lot's been said about Howie and our bet on between you and Rabbi Goldman. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that you winning, I would have no problem with. But me losing to Howie, that would really devastate me. Okay, that's the problem. So my backing of Rabbi Goldman has nothing to do with my lack of love for you, Rabbi Hazdan.
You too. Thank you. Thank you, Benj.
Well, Rabbi Hazdan, I believe Rabbi Goldman has a long way to get to your Tekiah Gedolah and shofar blowing, because you blow for like a minute and a half on Tekiah Gedolah, but his short notes are very clear and crisp. So yeah. Benji and I have a bottle of whiskey, as you know, on this, and you are not to let me down, please.
Yeah. They say quality over quantity on this one, hey? That the quality, I'm backing quality.
The good thing is that Rabbi Goldman is a very good friend, and either way, I'm going to be smelling that bottle.
Exactly. It's just I can't lose to Howie.
So Rabbi Hazdan, tell us, you're Rabbi of Great Park Shul, you're my Rabbi. Tell us what Shul is going to look like this year.
It's going to look very different, and we heard numbers of shuls of age. It was so nice to have Rabbi Harris, who reminded me of Chief Rabbi Harris, who spent so much time in our shul. But we have a Hochskian. We've got a foundation stone that goes back to the 7th of November, 1888. My tenure, the shul doesn't go back to that time completely, but I can say for the last 31 years, we've had a Chazan and choir every single Rosh Hashana, and I could say categorically for the last more than 100 years. This year is going to be the first time in a century that we're not going to have a Chazan and choir. We're going to have multiple services in multiple venues taking place simultaneously in groups of 50. And that is, it's heartbreaking. But at the same time, there's been a creativity and resilience, and all that Benji has been done with the groups working with the shuls have enabled the shuls to continue. So it's going to be different, but it's going to be powerful.
I think for many people, hearing the shofar being blown on Rosh Hashana is absolutely crucial. Where will people be able to actually do that?
So we're going to have the shofar blowing as part of the various services taking place. In addition to that, we're having 2 shofar blowing sessions late afternoon, which people are also booking for. In addition to that, through the network of Chabad, all the communities right across the city are affording people in their homes to hear shofar. So we've been getting requests for our neighborhood, Abbotsford and Oaklands and Houghton. People I haven't yet met, but people belong to other shuls or affiliated elsewhere. And I've been asked to go to their homes. At the same time, I've asked Rabbi Katz in Ivor to take care of a number of our members who are in Athol that won't get to shul. So there's going to be a lot of mileage on Rosh Hashana afternoon, walking from one neighborhood to the other to be able to reach the Jews that are not going to get to shul.
So, Rabbi, give us a bracha from your pulpit, your digital pulpit at the moment. I think there are many of us who are not going to make it to Shul this year, but you always have such words of such inspiration and wisdom. Give us a word of inspiration and give us a bracha to keep us going through.
Okay, I can't hold myself back, however, to say that tomorrow night you're going to really hear my bracha at the Great Park online service taking place tomorrow night at 7:30. But what I would want to wish everybody is that we always wanted the year 2020 to come. What did we associate with? We associated the year 2020 with vision. That was the year we were going to see everything so clearly. 2020 vision. That's what we were waiting for. We were joking about it. This was the year we would see it all. And this is the year that we see nothing. We don't know what's happening tomorrow. But really, this journey is about not wanting to see the same things that we always saw better. It's about aspiring to see the things we never noticed. And this year is forcing us to get off the perch we always sat on, because Hashem has removed that branch. Half the journey is done. God has shaken us off our comfort zone. And now it is for us to journey forward. And the 2020 vision of this year is to look at things differently, to see our strengths that we never saw, to look into our hearts, and to find the power to respond, to emerge from all of this difficulty and challenge with more courage and more enthusiasm and more commitment to grow. We don't go down to stay down. We go down to rise up higher than we've ever been before. That's the challenge of this Rosh Hashana. We've got to emerge stronger than we ever were before. 2020 vision.
Rob, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Shana Tova to you, to Fagi and the entire family. And I look forward to seeing you in person again soon.
Please God. Thank you.
Shana Tova, Rov.
Shana Tova.
And thank you.
So, Benji, I feel like we need another musical interlude.
Definitely.
How about Colin Shachet? So, Colin lost his mother-in-law today. Our heartfelt sympathies go out to the entire Lasner family. Really. Our thoughts are with you. We wish you all long lives. And but Colin has prepared something for us, and let us hear from Colin before we move on.
Hi, Shana Tova from Ra'anana in Israel, where I have been living since 1992. And here, the COVID situation is still pretty serious, although it had almost disappeared, down to almost 40, 50 new cases a day. Now it's several thousand, which has forced the authorities to impose a new lockdown, which will be enforced from Friday lunchtime before Rosh Hashana. But this, unlike any other lockdown, is a Jewish lockdown. Where what do I mean by that? Well, if you're a Chazan or somebody who blows the shofar or somebody who reads from the Torah, you fill out a special form and you can walk as far as you want and you can get to wherever you need to in order to fulfill your duties. So there are all types of dispensations in respect of the Chagim, which are imminent. But I just am delighted to be able to send this Shana Tova message from Israel, and also delighted to be able to present to you a video of a song which I performed with my colleague Cantor Simon Cohen with orchestra and choir, the Afhu Haya Mitkaven, which is a piece from the Yom Kippur Musaf service, and it's quite often performed in concerts around the world, and I hope you enjoy it, and I wish everybody a peaceful, healthy, and
ואומר להם תתעוררו, ואומר להם תתעוררו, ואומר להם תתעוררו, ואתה בטובך הגדול מאוד לרחמך, אוי ואתה בטובך הגדול מאוד לרחמך, וסולח וסולח לשבט משרתך. מחלת חדה ושפתו כסדר, קיבל דם במזרק ונתן עולם למרס, כריש עדיין מחסד את הזיה, כפוי פן יהי ותודה סליחה. כוח לחשת חד במחתת פרוויים, במחתת פרוויים, כוח לחשת חד, כוח לחשת חד במחתת פרוויים, במחתת פרוויים, כוח לחשת חד, כוח לחשת חד במחתת פרוויים, במחתת פרוויים, כוח לחשת חד, כוח לחשת חד במחתת פרוויים, קדושת הקהל המחפת והריק לכל מצב.
Now, Benji, that's what I'm going to be missing this year, let me tell you. A proper chazan, a proper choir, that's what I want.
It's absolutely beautiful. And just to Colin and his family, I wish him long life and good things. It was absolutely beautiful.
And I believe you're now going to take us to Umhlanga, Benji.
Yeah, we're lucky enough to have the head of the Umhlanga community. He's the director of the Umhlanga Jewish Center. Gilad, welcome. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. Tell us a bit about the Jewish Center there.
So hello from Umhlanga. It's wonderful to be here tonight and just go for an amazing program. So let's try to put this into a short amount of time. It comes on the backs of a very historic week. I mean, we've just announced level 1. So we're all excited for that. The Abraham Accords, so we can send a bigger shkoyach to Bibi and to Trump. So it's quite really a great thing for the Jewish people. And I think we feel that here in South Africa as well. And probably this is what we're going to be talking about for a long time. A little bit about the community. About 9 years ago, there was an incredible vision that was actualized, the vision of Rabbi Zekri and Dr. Jonathan Bear, and the Umhlanga Jewish Center was opened up in the suburbs of Izinga Hills, just maybe 2 kilometers up the hill from where the Sands Hotel is. So that's your mile marker for you guys from Joburg. We've got a beautiful campus, a shul with 350 seats, a mikvah, a functioning community center, kosher self-catering, and then the gem of the campus, of course, is our school, our Kiva College, which the amazing thing is that this school brought back full-time Jewish education, which hadn't existed since 1997, when Carmel College was then purchased by Crawford, for all those ex-Durbanites who remember Carmel colleagues. And thank God, we actually had 5 new children join the school this past week. And many people in Durban are migrating north. It's kind of like the natural trend in Johannesburg that we've seen from Yeovil towards Den Hazel and Sandton. So that seems to be happening. And people are looking for a life in South Africa that feels a little bit more outdoorsy, with a little bit less electric fences, and they still want the Jewish community. So people are starting to come here. And what can I tell you? This community center has been a beacon of light for the community. And in the past 5 years, in fact, for the past 5 years, this newly built shul has actually had a daily minyan 3 times a day. So it's an incredible achievement, and it's made up of young people and old people, people from different walks of life. And it's really something quite fascinating. So,
tell us about the shul services you're having. Tell us about the shul services you're having.
Generally, or for Yom Tov?
No, just for over Rosh Hashana.
Rosh Hashana, well, we've put some feelers out there for online bookings, and people have been booking. Thank God, people have not been scared to book for shul. Our motto has been shul is back and shul is safe. And after Professor Korama came, we've moved out of our shul, which you can see behind me, and we've moved into the hall. So we can have plastic chairs, and shul will look a little bit different, but we full, and this easing of restrictions from Sunday night will help us for Yom Kippur, because we need to be able to let more people in the shul. We're going to be having to let more people in, shofar services afterwards as well, and we're really looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Just maybe from Umhlanga, you can give us a blessing for the community. And just from our side, thank you for doing the outreach work and the amazing work that you're doing there, and keeping Yiddishkeit alive, which is so important in these areas.
Well, we're waiting for you to come for a Shabbos, guys, and then and then we'll see what it's really about. But I'll just tell you that a short message well after 10 o'clock, but just to say, that it's been a big privilege to be here. My wife and I moved here about 6 years ago, and we've had the privilege to be a part of this great process of growth and trying to build a community. And it's an incredible thing to see. So a quick message from Umhlanga, and you're all invited to come and to visit us on your next trip. Just to say to everybody, a Shana Tova, a Ketiva v'Chatima Tova, and we should say that we should all be written and sealed in the book of life for a good year, a blessed year, and we should look back on Rosh Hashana the past 6 months with the benefit of hindsight. And we can learn so many things in hindsight, from hindsight. And please God, that the last 6 months, all the challenges that we had, we should look back for the good, la tova. We should see them as a blessing for us, and that we were blessed even during these troubled months.
Amen. Thank you so much for your time. Hey.
Thanks, Rob. That was amazing. What a beautiful blessing. So, Choni, just before we come to you, we're going to hear from Kosher World, and then we're going to come straight to you for a live performance. Benji, would you like me to sing along to the Kosher World ad?
I'm desperate. I might actually take you up on
Okay, well, that was another interesting performance.
They really got their money worth.
They really did. Choni.
Hello.
Hello I presume you're in Cape Town at the moment.
Indeed.
Indeed. What are you going to be singing for us tonight?
I'm going to sing a beautiful, I think this is one of my most favorite nigunim, melodies. It's a Chabad nigun. It's from the Yom Kippur service, actually, attributed to, I think, a Chassid who composed many nigunim. His name was Reb Shalom Charitonov, or some say Aaron Charitonov. It's, yeah, that's a beautiful song from the Kol Nidre. Here's the, if you've got an art scroll, it's on page 120 in the Yom Kippur Machzor. Ki hinei kachomer, like the clay in the hands of the potter. He expands it at will and contracts it at will. So are we in your hand, O preserver of kindness. Look to the covenant and ignore the accuser. You know, there's a lot of shuls have different La Brit HaBeit, La Brit HaBeit. There's a lot of different La Brit HaBeit, Ve'al Tefen La Yetzer. Anyway, so I'm going to just sing this nigun. Beautiful melody. And yeah, in Garden Shul, where I'm the Chazan, we usually sing with a choir a different melody. But there's a few, I get away with like a few of these verses to throw it in. So yeah, should I go ahead?
Please.
Give me 1 second, here we are. כן אנחנו בידך חסד נצא לברית הבית ועטפן לעצר כי הנה כאבן ביד המסתה ביצתו שמחתיס כן אנחנו בידך מחיה וממסס לברית הבית ועטפן לעצר כי הנה כגזל בידך Soy di beglaur v'tzoy soy perash Kein anachnu beyadcha Tomech ani varash labrid habeit V'atefen la'etzem Samachim u'b'tzoi samekatzeh כן אנחנו בידך חסד נצא לברית הבית ועטפן לעצם כי הנה כאבן ביד המסתייס ביצוי סוי אחז ובצוי סוי מחתייס כן אנחנו בידך מחיה וממסייס לברית הבית ועטפן
Choni, that is beautiful and soulful, and where that melody, can I find it somewhere? Can I download it on Spotify? Where can I find it?
Actually, there's a guy, Noor Karmi in Israel who made a whole album of a compilation called Summer, and it's all the Chabad Nigunim, and he's done rearrangements and got so many different artists like Ishai Ribo, Vyatar Bana, Yerazel, a whole bunch of Israeli artists to cover them. And one guy, Natan Goshen, does this cover. I'm also putting it out next week, so you could stay tuned before Yom Kippur. I will put out I'm going to put this track out next week, but I'll send you the link.
Howie, that's part of my soul. But Choni, you touched my soul. It was absolutely magnificent. It was.
Well, it touches my soul, so that's.
It was astounding. It made me rueful of not having a Chazan and choir, and but grateful that we have got Shul and that we can daven in a Shul, and it was so inspiring, Choni. Thank you.
Thank you.
Courtney, just give us slowly the guy's name if we're going to look on YouTube, if we want to listen to it before your version comes out next week. Tell us on YouTube we should search for.
Can I put the link? Let me find the link.
Yeah, will you post the link?
His name is Natan Goshen, but it's in Hebrew. I think you got to search in Hebrew. So I'm going to try and find it, and then for the next person, I'll put it in the link.
Fantastic. Thank you, Choni. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Shana Tova to all of you in Cape Town. Stay safe, stay sanitized.
Take care. Sweet year to everybody.
Shana Tova, Choni.
Benji, every time we go to an AV, I cringe. And I said to Danny, let's give up. And he said, no.
Okay, but then you singing, it's quiet.
So we're going to try.
Choni, don't go anywhere. If there's no sound, start singing whatever you want. You just pick it, whatever you want.
So we're going to, in fact, try Kosher World again, and then we're going to go straight to Rio to speak to Nelson.
Choni, don't go anywhere, please, buddy. Just start singing, all right?
So that in fact was music. Who knew? So let us in fact cross over to Rio de Janeiro. Nelson Cooperman, Shana Tova, Chag Sameach to you and Diane and the entire family. Let's unmute him. Nelson, can we unmute you? There you are. Chag Sameach, Shana Tova to you.
First of all, thank you very much to invited me for this amazing gathering of how we call the United States Rosh Hashana, United Nations Rosh Hashana. I'm from Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro live about 30,000 Jews to 12,000 families. I belong to a progressive congregation, Arnie founded for Jews from refugees from Germany in 1942. I grew in this community. It began in the Beta Sefer, the youth movement, until reaching the presidency of the congregation 15 years ago. Now we are facing all the struggles that the old world facing the coronavirus, the corona, and it's important that this crisis give us also beautiful, great opportunities, because we maintain our synagogue, open, using the new technologies of communication, Zoom, YouTube, the synagogue works. The synagogue was open. We can help the people and celebrate the service of Kabbalat Shabbat, the Minyanim, and also giving comfort to the bereaved families. No, so we work today for this Rosh Hashana. We are preparing also online services. We make a Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, and Sunday morning, also Yom Kippur, Kol Nidrei Yom Kippur, all from our transmission from our our sanctuary without attendance, only rabbis, chazanim, and the support musicians and our choir and the support staff.
So Nelson, tell us, we see that Brazil has in fact been very hard hit by COVID.
Yes, very hard. 4.3 million people infected in Brazil. I suppose this the second, after the United States, is the second country in number of infections. We have 135,000 deaths.
And has the Jewish community been badly affected itself?
Yes, everybody was affected. In number of fatalities, it's not so high because it's a question also of education. You know, the people of the Jewish community observed the prescriptions of the authorities. But we suffer a severe impact on the maintenance of the question to maintenance of our institutions to help some vulnerable people, because we have a lot of vulnerable people in our congregation, because we spend a lot of effort in order to help these people. And also to be together with the Brazilian people in the mission of Tikkun Olam, to help the joint efforts to help the vulnerable people, not only the Jewish but also the whole society. What was in our capacity to do.
So Nelson, you, me, and Diane went running down the streets of Ipanema with the Olympic flame just over 4 years ago in Rio at the Olympics.
Yes, at the Olympics. Yes, I was in Avenida Vieira Soto.
Shana Tova to you, but now tell us, you have family in South Africa, so send a bracha to your family in South Africa, please.
Yes, dear family, Jack, June, Ezra, and all the relatives, Shana Tova, Metikal, Lekol, and be sure that everything passes. And this year bring us the hope of many happiness, good health, peace, for all the world, and especially for Israel and his neighbors, and also good achievements. Shana Tova, Amen, Amen. I also to send a special shalom for my friend, a good friend, Reeva Forman. Is a good companion of the struggles of Zeno. We used to meet every year in Jerusalem on occasion of the Zionist congresses and the meetings of the Vada Pol Azioni. And we're very happy to see and heard the message of our good friend Reeva Forman.
Fantastic. Nelson, to you and
pass for her. She's great.
To you, the entire family, to Diane, to all the kids, Shana Tova. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yes. By next year in Jerusalem through South Africa, can fly from Rio to Cape Town or Johannesburg or Dubai, Tel Aviv.
Deal. Fantastic. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Shana Tova. So Yudi Cohen.
You know how Yudi and I have run together from the main shul to the brocha, which is, I promise you, way more dangerous and way more intense than any running of an Olympic flag. You can ask Yudi.
So Yudi, who wins that race?
He wins. He's desperate.
So Yudi, tell us, you of course are the Chazan of Sydenham Shul. What are you going to be singing for us tonight?
I'm going to sing the Avinu Malkeinu. It was composed by a cantoral composer by the name of Max Janowski, and was this particular version was made famous by Barbara Streisand. Actually, there's not really, aside from the fact that we approaching this year, I will obviously miss singing with the choir and definitely the community participation. It will be a very, very different experience in Shul this year. But I think that it will make us all relook at our relationship with prayer, because there's no fanfare involved, there's no bracha, there's no socializing. It's simply raw prayer, our raw relationship with Hashem. And we've had a lot of us have been in Shul all our lives, and we've had the distractions without really being able to attain the incredible, incredible benefits of what prayer can offer when we really connect with our Creator, the one who is creating us every moment, who created the situation that we find ourselves in and creates everything and constantly gives us life. That's what prayer is about. And this year we're forced, if we're coming to Shul, we're going to have to sit there, if we're sitting there, and we're going to have to explore that relationship. So this song, Avinu Malkeinu, I'm going to just read the prayer, because I don't actually have to say much when I read you the meaning of the words. And it is so pertinent and so succinct to what we pray for. And I'll read you the meaning and then I'll sing it. Our Father, our King, hear our prayer. Our Father, our King, we have sinned before thee. Our Father, our King, have mercy upon us and upon our children. Our Father, our King, keep far from our country pestilence, war, and famine. Our Father, our King, cause all hate and oppression to vanish from the earth. Our Father, our King, inscribe us for a blessing in the book of life. Our Father, our King, grant unto us a year of happiness. That's the translation of the prayer. And I pray that Hashem brings us healing to the world, both physically in the medical sense and in the social and political sphere. Hear our voices. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu. Ve'alol aleinu v'tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu kale dever v'cherev ra'av me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu כל צר ומסתיר מעלינו. אבינו מלכנו, אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר חיים טובים. אבינו מלכנו, חדש עלינו, חדש עלינו, שנה טובה. שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו, אבינו מלכנו, אבינו מלכנו, חדש עלינו, שנה טובה. אבינו מלכנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו, שמע
Yudi, it's not fair. How can anyone compete after that?
That's why you put me last.
You're not lost. You're not lost. That's the problem. That was remarkable.
Thank you.
Yudi,
Thank you
that
very
is
much.
just, I've heard it many times, and it just moves me. And someone posted, we're lucky to have you in our community, and I couldn't endorse that more.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank
Just
you.
so inspiring. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I wish everybody a Shana Tova, and please God, may all our prayers be answered quickly
Amen.
and in a revealed way.
Amen.
Yudi, I can't wait to come see you sing that in person. I look forward with much anticipation to that day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to just thank my orchestra. This is the Rouville Philharmonic. I just wanted to share that with everybody. Rouville. They won't be with me in Shul, but my trusted orchestra.
Conducted by?
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much, Yudi. So Benji, we're going to hear from Capability BPO, and then we've actually asked one of the most famous Chazans in the world from New York to record a piece for us. So let's hear from Capability BPO. Capability BPO offers a diverse set of BPO services to private and public sector clients, both to domestic and international markets. Debt-In is a private professional services business that specializes in debt recovery and credit control solutions to public and private institutions, operating its own specialist debt collection contact center and creating unique strategies for its clients in order to significantly improve their collection results. Contact Mark Essie, the CEO, who will assist with solutions tailor-made to your specific business requirements, bringing the expertise of his team to your back office. So Benji, we went to New York. Chazan Herstik in New York is one of the most famous chazans at all. He's at the Hampton Synagogue in New York. And we are going to hear from him right now.
Nathaniel Herstik, cantor. Hi, I'm Nathaniel Herstik, cantor of the Hampton Synagogue, West Hampton Beach, New York, in a message to the South African Jewish Jewry, the wonderful Jewish Jewry of South Africa, which I had the pleasure and privilege to visit a few times, and every time was better than the other. Wishing you a Shana Tova umetuka, tichle Shana vekilelotea. The past year, with all the misery, should be over. Tachel Shana uvichotea. The new year should bring hope and blessing in its wings. And Bezrat Hashem will have many, many more celebrations, and we'll be comforted for as a compensation for what we've been going through in the last year. As I understand, many of you will not be going to synagogues, will not be going to shuls, and it will be my greatest pleasure to share with you a little bit of our liturgy, our beautiful synagogue music from West Hampton Beach, the Hampton Synagogue, under the leadership of Rabbi Mark Schneier, and to wish to all of us, again, once again, I can't say enough, how much we hope for a new year, a new beginning, for Hashem to be our Father, and for us to be His kids, and for us to see the mercy of Hashem upon us, and Bezrat Hashem, we will enjoy a sweet new year. Yours, Nathaniel Herstik, New York.
I think Danny needs a moment to get that right. I feel like we should take tonight's show, which has had so many moving, unbelievable messages, so many wonderful musical interludes, and recut it into something that has maybe no technical errors in. But, you know, this is the problem of doing a live show, and this is the problem of using Zoom for things that it really wasn't necessarily intended for.
Yeah.
So, Danny, are you ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Cool, fantastic. Let's hear from Nathaniel Herstik.
Oh
Benji, I think that's how it's done, hey?
That's how it's done, how we...
I don't want to put any pressure on Rabbi Dovid Hazdan, but you know, one of the last musical pieces of the evening is going to be him. Rov?
You're on mute, Rov.
What I'm saying is maybe not. I've just heard a few chazanim. I heard Choni and I heard Yudi, and now I think we need a Yom Kippur before we do.
You know something? There's nothing as warm as the great park rabbi / chazan / choir singing together, and it just brings out the best in your community.
I love it.
So in fact, Danny specifically, first of all, I know you've battled through enormous technical difficulties tonight. It's not easy back there. Thank you for everything that you have done this evening. But you wanted to specifically speak about Kaddish and why in fact Rabbi Hazdan's piece that we're going to play now is so much significance.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Howard. So when Howard sent me the list of the remarkable tunes produced by the Great Fox Synagogue, what hit me so personally was Kaddish. And that is obviously because myself, I'm in the same position as many members of our community, members of communities all around the world, of people who've had a yahrzeit this year for a loved one that passed away, or individuals that are sitting Shiva or in the process of mourning for this year, who have not been able to go to Shul this year to say Kaddish. And it is a remarkable sacrifice to not do that, to give that up, because we were saving lives and respecting lockdown regulations, but it was tremendously difficult for many people out there. And we sympathize with them. I sympathize with them. That's why it really hit me. It was something that was a lot of personal bearings and meaning, and it was very meaningful to me and very beautiful tune. So I actually would like to attribute this melody produced by the Great Fox Synagogue and dedicate this to all the individuals who have not been able to go to Shul this year and say Kaddish for your loved ones. This is for you.
Hi, yimaru, amen. Yehesh merava mevorach, le'olam me'omaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, yisparach, 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 yisnaseh, yisparach, yishaleh, yishalach, shemei de kudesha, shemei de kudesha, brechu, le'ilah, le'ilah, mikol birchasa, v'shirasa, ushbechasa, v'nechemasa, damironi b'yama, tushbechasa, v'nechemasa, damironi b'yama, v'yimaru, amen, tiskamen, tzloi sahoy, neval sahoy, nepo b'esh Yisrael, hadamadu hoy, divishmaya, v'yimaru, amen, yesh lamarava, min shemaya, v'chayim, aleinu,
Benji, forget about Rabbi Goldman, forget about Rabbi Hazdan. You may be walking away with the shofar blowing prize.
I doubt it. I doubt it. Howie,
So
you know, as we come to the end of this, and we've had this remarkable evening of going around the world, and yes, we apologize for any of the glitches, but you know, that's part of life. It's the authenticity and the vulnerability of live Zoom sessions is probably a good analogy to what life is, and that being a bit vulnerable. And just to everyone, to you, Howie, I just want to take this chance just before Rosh Hashana, just to thank you on behalf of the whole community, on behalf of our whole board, of what you've done. You know, there are three big challenges. There's the health challenge, the financial challenge, and the mental health challenge. And I know I've shared this with you privately, but what you've done for the mental health challenge in providing the kind of entertainment and the upliftment that you've done is something that you should be incredibly proud of, and we're incredibly grateful as a board and as individuals. And just thank you so much. And to work with you is one of the most profound privileges that I have. And I'm blessed. So it's a profound privilege. And just thank you so much. And just to everyone attending, you know, I heard the chief rabbi of Israel Chief Rabbi Lau, the old Chief Rabbi of Israel, said, he said, it's a new year, so there's a new din, there's a new law. And so may this year bring for everyone good health and parnosa. And if you're looking at people struggling to have babies, may they be blessed. May the neshomas of people who passed away, may they all have an aliyah. And may this year that we're going into just be a blessing for everyone. And may people be blessed with parnosa and all different blessings that they thinking about and that are troubling people. May it just be a time of great revealed blessings to everyone, Howie, and just thank you so much.
Thank you, Benji, and to the entire board of the Jewish Report, and to our remarkable staff at the Jewish Report, to Peter Cross-Monda, our editor, to Danny Kedar, our CEO, to some amazing journalists and proofreaders and design people and salespeople and debtors clerks. They're the people who are keeping our community together. And it has been an absolute privilege to have now done 56 of these remarkable webinars during the period of lockdown. So we're going to say goodnight to everyone. The time has gotten late. It's 5 to 11. For those people who have insomnia, we have a few messages that we haven't played yet. We've got messages from places like Panama City and Shanghai and Cambodia. So if you don't want to go to bed yet, if you'd like to stay on the line, Danny's going to continue to play that for you. I know Joel Sacco also wants to play something musical, which I'm having difficulty getting hold of, but we'll try, in fact, play all of those for you now. Otherwise, we'll see you in the new year. Shana Tova Matukah to everyone. May we all have a safe, a sanitized, and a blessed new year ahead of us. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to say hello to the whole entire audience of the Jewish Report. My name is Rabbi Aaron Lane. I am the rabbi of the Beth El Synagogue, which is the Ashkenazi Orthodox Synagogue of Panama City, Panama. You might have heard of us. We're right at the Panama Canal. Panama City has approximately 15,000 Jews, divided into the majority, which would be Sephardic Jews, about 80%, 20% Ashkenazim. Very beautiful community, very traditional community, in many areas, many ways similar to the South African community. Majority of the Jews go to the traditional synagogues, the Orthodox synagogues. Most of the Jewish kids, 99%, will go to Jewish schools. The vast majority of Jews have kosher homes. Until the pandemic, we had about 35 eateries. So Judaism and tradition is very beautiful. Most Jews live in the same neighborhood. Within a half-hour walk, you could probably reach almost every Jew in the city. Majority live in a neighborhood called Paitia or Punta Pacifica. That's the vast majority. Friday nights, people walk in the streets, and people say it's a feeling of Bnei Brak. So that's pretty much the situation about the community. When we came here about 27 years ago, 26 years ago, the community wasn't as large. It grew over the last 2 decades, a lot of immigration from different parts of the world because of the economic situation. And today our synagogue, which had about 100, has now 400 families. And things are very beautiful. Like I mentioned, we have a very nice relationship with the entire community. I hear we're very similar to South Africa, as we've been locked down for about 6 months, meaning we can go out only 3 times a week. Days for the men, other days for the women. A very religious society. Actually, just last 2 weeks, they're opening up a little bit more so we can have prayers in the synagogue on Shabbat with social distancing and masks. Obviously, you can have up to 25% capacity. For instance, this year, they're still closed on Sunday, which means Sunday, all the synagogues and everyone is closed. So Rosh Hashana, which is Next weekend, Shabbat, we can have our prayers in the synagogue, but Sunday we can't. We are very fortunate that the government accepted that we can make individual prayers and minyanim in people's homes or buildings. A lot of people live in high-rise buildings. The majority of the Jews live in high-rise buildings, so they're making in minyanim and prayers in the building. So we just got that news today confirmed, so that's the good news. But besides that, unfortunately, we have been on a serious lockdown. Thank God, and I would like to make this a public announcement, Baruch Hashem, we had no fatalities over the last couple months, but remember Purim, when the whole thing in the States affected in a very strong way, we had no cases. And although we had Purim celebrations, after that, the whole country shut down, and we can say, Baruch Hashem, everyone is healthy. Obviously, there are some cases in the community, but nothing of life-threatening. To share a thought or a message for the new year, like people say, is the year over already? And we all know that the answer is yes. And Jews are very special because we're always optimistic. We always have a new opportunity. Rosh Hashana, a new year. And what dawned upon me this year is the message I would like to share with you. Rosh Hashana, we actually celebrate the 6th day of creation, not the first day of creation. What happened on the 6th day? God created man. And why do we celebrate Rosh Hashana on that specific day? To remind us that the creation has no meaning without the creation of man, which means, since obviously we believe in the intelligent design, God's design, designed for a purpose. The purpose is that the human beings, we should make an impact and make a difference. That is so comforting and rewarding because it reminds us that there is a plan and there is a purpose. And although as human beings, we don't understand it, and many times we have questions, but to absolutely know that there is a greater plan is the most rewarding feeling, knowing that it's not a jungle. If the world was an accident, it's a very scary place to live. Knowing that the world was made very carefully and very thought out in every detail, that helps us understand that Hashem has taken care of us till now, and He will provide in the future. Divine providence is very important. So we start the new year remembering there is a plan, manage the stress, don't get overwhelmed. And just like Rosh Hashana begins the beginning of Tishrei, the month of Tishrei, we also know that the Jews, we connect to the month of Nisan. The Exodus of Egypt is also the beginning of the year. And that's connected to the moon cycle, the lunar cycle. This month, Rosh Hashanah is the solar cycle. And the lunar cycle is very connected to the Jewish people because it has moments when the moon grows and it becomes smaller. To remind us, yes, as Jews, we've always gone through these moments. Even when the moon is coming to the end, we don't see its light. Once again, it'll emerge. After every darkness comes a greater light. So let's be strong. Let's keep strong. Let's remember to stay focused. And God willing, we will have a great year. And after the darkness of last year, we will come to a much greater light. And hopefully the greatest of lights, the coming of Mashiach in our days. Amen.
Thank you very much, and hello to all to everyone that's joining. This is the after party of the broadcast. Next up, we've got Rabbi Bootman. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, who has sent us a lovely message to the South Jewish community and Jews all around the world, all the way from Cambodia. Enjoy.
Good evening, South Africa. When I was first approached with a request to present you with what goes on by us throughout Corona times, I thought perhaps I'm the wrong person. There's not much of the Corona here. However, that itself may be of interest to many of you. So maybe you can teach me of the corona, I can teach you of life without corona. Well, not to say that our life is not affected. Of course, while airport is still open, flights are coming and leaving, it is very hard to get in, to regain entry and so on. Unfortunately, I myself missed a wedding of a brother, which I watched with my family via Zoom from here, while my brother was getting married in Israel. But within this country, more or less, the situation has been very safe throughout time. There was a few weeks in which there was a requirement not to gather more than 30 people, and even general restriction against religious gatherings, result of a religious group of another faith that came back from another country and brought with it a relatively great wave of carriers, of positive cases. I think it was about 26, which is a lot within the less than 300 number by now. So upon the restriction of the banning of religious activities, I quickly reached out to Ministry of Religion, who I'm in touch with, a certain contact in that office who holds very highly of Jews and Judaism. And I said to him, I said, hey, if we are not getting the chance to gather and pray to our God, who will protect the country? My contact assured me that he's going to take care of it, and I don't know what he did, but an hour later he called me and said, okay, we know your place, it's a large place, I understand you don't have many people, up to 30 people, you should be fine. So that was for those few weeks. And aside from this, the country is more or less not so concerned. Of course, there are people with masks, of course there is checking of temperature and stuff at entry to hotels and shopping malls. But all in all, I think the last case within the country was about 4 months ago. And the only cases that are being revealed now is people upon arrival. I think last week this country has had 0 cases for a few days until another guy coming from outside carried a new case and got us off the green list again. The Talmud says, Tzidkat pirzono b'Yisrael, pizrono sari b'Yisrael, tzedakah asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Yisrael shepizran levein ha'umot. Hashem has done charity, has done kindness with us by splitting us to many nations. Why? Because when trouble starts, and Jews always know how to get into trouble, or others know how to get Jews into trouble, when Jews are in trouble in one place, they are safe in others. And I find this here too. When other places were struggling or forced to close shuls, when minyans were not taking place in many places, including shuls that are open for hundreds of years, we actually had the pleasure, privilege, honor, and merit to be open and host a minyan every single Shabbos, all throughout the time. In fact, for us, the community of Phnom Penh, it was the very first year, we pointed it out on Shabbos day, it's the very first year that we have entirely had minyans for every single Shabbos and Yom Tov, not missing one. In Tafshin Ayin Test last year, we missed one Shabbos, which I painfully remember. The year before, we missed maybe 3 or 4. I didn't keep that close of a track. And of course, 10 years ago when we first came, there was no minyan Shabbos day. And here we are in the very same year in which others were forced to close very large doors of very large shuls, very old and ongoing. We managed all throughout the year and celebrated this last Shabbos with this big check. But we're not only here for ourselves, we're presenting others, the many who wanted to go to shul and were not able to. The many that ended up doing all kind of alternatives, whether it's small minyans, the famous porch minyans, balcony minyans, and the ones who were forced to daven at home. Now we're aiming to reach a new year. Community here is practically much smaller than before. As I mentioned, no travelers and no backpackers and no business people. It's a little harder. Generally speaking, it's when you don't have the ability to leave the country, it does give some kind of a not exciting feeling. But we deal with what we have. Community here, as mentioned, small but consistent, and is coming Baruch Hashem every Shabbos for the Minyan. We're anticipating ongoing Minyanim for the month of Tishrei, for the new year, and I hope by now you can do that also by you. Just to conclude with a small idea regarding the Rosh Hashana that we are approaching. The day is called Rosh Hashana, which means head of the year, not New Year or beginning of the year. Head means something that is not only the beginning, but it includes everything else. The behavior we have on Rosh Hashanah will strongly affect who we are and who we will be throughout the year. We are requesting of Hashem to be our king through the shofar, which we will blow this year only in the second day. And upon his acquiring of the kingdom, we are going to commit ourselves to be better people, and based on our commitment, which are customary to be taking upon ourselves on Rosh Hashanah, we can change not only the day of Rosh Hashanah, but once we change the head, the entire body will be changed. Wishing you all a ktiva v'chatima tova l'shana tova u'metuka from myself, and of course on behalf of my family and the entire Jewish community of Cambodia. Shana tova.
Thank you so much to Rabbi Gutman from all the way from Cambodia, and thank you to the 240 people that are still online. Can you believe it? It's remarkable. We're within the high holidays, approaching Rosh Hashana. Amazing effort. Thank you so much to the 137 people still on Zoom, 73 people on YouTube still watching. We have one more remarkable message all the way from Shanghai, China, Ground Zero, from Rabbi Shalom, who is running the Jewish Life Center in Shanghai, and he sent us a beautiful message, and I would like to share that with you. But also, typical of the Jewish people, we are galvanized to do chesed. We are galvanized to perform tikkun olam, to make the world a better place. So, as we've seen in South Africa, where there's so many Jewish organizations that have started up to assist the COVID situation, similarly, the Jewish community in Shanghai and China have been doing remarkable work for the entire Chinese community. It's so inspiring to see that. It's so remarkable. We can imagine how overwhelming it must have been, how terrifying it must have been, but that did not stop Rabbi Shalom and the Jewish community from mobilizing, doing tikkun olam, doing chesed, reaching out, trying to make the world a better place, and trying their best to alleviate the situation of the coronavirus pandemic. So without further ado, I'm going to start off with a video that illustrates the remarkable work that has been done by the Jewish community in Shanghai, China, and then we'll go straight into a message from Rabbi Shalom Greenberg, all the way from Shanghai, China. Please enjoy.
A very strong emphasis is put by our sages, by our teachers, that when we come to a city and we live in a city, anywhere in the world, we must seek the benefit of the city. We must see what can we do to help the city to prosper, to be successful. Especially the Jewish refugees came here. They were welcomed so nicely. If we would all try to help each other, this fight for the virus will be gone much faster, and we will all benefit from it, and we'll all be able to go back to normal life.
My name is Shalom Greenberg. My wife Dina and I came to Shanghai in 1998. When we came, there was no Jewish infrastructure in Shanghai. You see, although Shanghai has a very rich Jewish history, there were thousands of Jewish people, especially during World War II. But right after the war, they all left Shanghai, they left China, and there was no Jewish community over here for all those years until the late 1990s. When China opened up and expatriates started to come to China for business and other different projects, many of them gravitated naturally towards Shanghai, which was the most international city in China. So in the late 1990s, there were a few hundred Jewish people who lived here already and wanted to have a Jewish life. And so we came here to help them practice and celebrate their Judaism. As we are approaching the new year, I would like to wish all of you Shana Tova Metuka. May you have a year that is going to be a good year, a sweet year. And to make it happen, our sages teach us it's not enough just to wish each other. It's not enough just to hope for that, but we have to take actions to make it happen. So when we take upon ourselves at the beginning of the year to add in goodness and kindness, to add in mitzvot, to add in learning Torah, to being inspired to become a better person, by doing so, we are opening channels of blessings that we didn't have to have before. And may Hashem see our good intent to make this year a better year, and He will shower us with great blessings. The greatest blessing, the coming of Mashiach, may it be soon in our days this year. Shana Tova.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Gutman, for that remarkable message. Thank you to everyone who stayed for the after show. That is officially the last video of the evening. Just want to thank everyone for staying on. L'chaim to everyone. We should all have a good year. Shana Tova, a healthy year. I think that gives a whole new perspective on the saying of health is wealth. And we should all have a good year. Thank you so much for our loyal viewers and readers who have been with us every step of the way for the past 6 months. We value you. We thank you. We appreciate your loyalty. Shana Tova. We should have a meaningful Rosh Hashana, a peaceful and lovely Rosh Hashana with our family, where we're going to dig deep, where we're going to try and find meaningful and our own spiritual meaningful compass to direct us to have a meaningful Rosh Hashana. But we should have a good one. It will be good. Good, bazaar good. If you think it will be good this next year, this upcoming year, and we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely, lovely evening. This is officially us in the Jewish Report. We cannot wait to see you in the new Jewish year for a whole new variety of exciting webinars where I can assure you, hand over heart, we will do our utmost best to make sure we don't have technical issues again. But yes, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining. Lovely to see everyone still active in the chat. But please, everyone should stay safe. Have a good year. Shana Tova. Please stay online. You can carry on chatting. We'll keep the chat open for a little bit. And have a lovely evening. L'chaim. L'chaim.